Good evening, guys. Welcome back once again to another episode of KJ's What Happened. How you guys doing tonight? I'm doing good, man. Thanks for asking. It's the 1st of October. Where I live, the weather's about to change over to the fall, and we're 2 days away from that. I'm really excited. No more turning on the air conditioner. Totally leaving the windows open. It's going to be awesome. I'm sure you guys like that kind of weather too. So I really love this time of year. And holiday season, it's a different vibe. It feels good. Where I live, the summer gets really steamy and uncomfortable. It's kind of a bummer. Anyway, enough about the weather. Let's get to business. Hey, thanks for being here, man. We got a nice crowd already joining in. I really appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Tamara's here, I see. I haven't seen the other moderators. I'm sure there's other ones, or they show up off and on, throughout the night, whenever. But to all the moderators out there, thanks again for the great job you always do. The checks are in the mail, okay? So let's go ahead and get started, man. We got a lot of stuff to get to. Let me make sure everything's looking good, sounding good. Let me turn off my volume over here on this side. There we go. All right, man, we're ready. Are you ready? Microphones and Amazon's new smart glasses that give wearer access to Alexa on the go could secretly listen in to all conversations within earshot. You'll see this again later. I'm doing a bigger video and kind of putting this in there. This will be a piece. Excuse me. It's connected to the Beast system grid with smart homes and VR and stuff like that. Now we got the smart glasses that give access to Alexa. Even further plugged into that same grid. You can secretly listen into conversations, see something, say something, right? Amazon unveiled a slew of new devices at an event this week, with one sparking fears of an Orwellian world called Echo Frames. These Alexa, I'm going to bookmark this real quick. These Alexa-powered smart glasses have tiny microphones built into the frame that allow the wearer to hear the personal assistant and hear them. Consumers have voiced their fears of this terrifying spyware, suggesting it's a threat to privacy as Alexa can hear and record what users are saying, and it can pick up conversations with an earshot. It's crazy. Amazon has pitched its new Echo Frames as enabling users to have hands-free access to Alexa. Slaves. They're all becoming slaves. You can hear notifications and alerts, activate smart home, or call a friend, all without pulling out your phone. How convenient. How convenient. How tired do you get pulling that phone out of your pocket, or for the ladies, out of your purse? I'm not kidding around here, guys. It can be a strain, right? It's like, I got to reach in my pocket and pull out my phone again. This is getting tiring. I say this all the time to myself. So you can hear notifications and alerts, activate smart home, or call a friend, all without the physical strain and drain of pulling out your phone. Man, this is great, guys. What's that animated movie that came out a while back where everybody looked the same? We were all obese, like everybody in America was obese. Remember that? I think it takes place in the future. Everybody's obese and sloppy and gross and basically just a cog in a machine. Can't remember the movie, but I remember some of those scenes. Anywho, the glasses are designed with open ear technology that pushes sound directly to your ear, but leaves your ears uncovered so the world around is not blocked. The frames pair with the Alexa app, and Amazon shared that the microphones can be disabled by double pressing the action button on the side, as the firm wants to protect the privacy of its users. Right. Yeah. Joseph Jerome, an independent privacy consultant, told DailyMail.com in an email that Echo Frames are an interesting product, though they may be more novelty than anything. I think this is another attempt to try to figure out new form factors for on-the-go connectivity beyond the phone, and headsets of all types seem like the future. Tech companies and funders are betting big on AR and VR and so-called mixed reality, and anyone can see the potential of an audio-controlled heads-up display. That's where we're headed, and it obviously presents both huge data collection issues with respect to the wearer and privacy implications for what the tech will ultimately observe. Many consumers flocked to Twitter following the release of Echo Frames to voice their fears about these data-stealing glasses. That's encouraging. I like that. That's a good sentence. It's nice to see that. Good. See? Sometimes those of us into this type of information, I don't even like the term truther because I can't stand a lot of truthers on YouTube personally. But, you know, in our own sense, you know, there is obviously a huge so-called truth movement, but there's so many levels to it and it gets very convoluted, right? But it's so easy when we're into this kind of information to just look at the rest of the world as a bunch of sheep, right? Ah, the freaking sheeple, you know? Bah, they don't know, you know, whatever. Stupid sheeple. And I've always fought that. You know, we have to. I try not to ever have that kind of callous attitude, and especially not to just compartmentalize so many people into just one category like that. There's millions of people. They're all idiots. They're all plugged into the matrix. They'll never understand, you know. It's easy to get that way, but it's encouraging to see sentences like this show that there are many consumers that flocked to Twitter following the release of these Echo Frames, and they voiced their concerns. Terrifying spyware. It is deeply wrong to wear this crap. It infringes my liberty as well as your own, wrote Twitter users Sam Jordison. The device costs just $180, but Ahmed wrote, "Don't be lulled. The money is in the data they collect from you." Yep. Nailed it. User Raz noted that doesn't get more personal than a pair of glasses on your face or more unexpected than a ring. Depending on what sensors each device has inside, we can figure out what data is being collected by Amazon to make up for those low prices. Another user jokingly said these glasses are a part of Stream Your Life to Amazon episode. Yeah, right. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, what could go wrong, guys? It's going to be just fine. Don't worry about it. Everyone's going to be walking around looking like Clark Kent and reporting on each other and recording each other. Here's a website I haven't found or seen in a long time. I went out of my way to look it up this past week. I mean, they really did deperson AJ, didn't they? China unveils super surveillance camera that can link to its social credit system. Again, we're seeing how all this technology is connecting, right? Seeing how all this is connecting. So it's going to connect humans, right? Eventually, that's part of the so-called mark, mark of the beast. A lot of us believe it's going to be some form of a transhumanist contraption. We'll see. We've seen glimpses. We know about Neuralink from Elon Musk. Remember Regina Dugan, who used to be with DARPA, and then she was the CEO of Google, talking about kind of the tattoos people will get on their skin, on the back of their hands, and they'll be able to open up their email in front of their eyes and stuff like that, or have access to their homes and other stuff. They call it superpowers. We've been programmed through so many movies. There's another one coming out about a little kid with superpowers that someone's trying to protect. We always see that story time and time again. I've seen it like 20 times in the last 5 years. But there's another one coming out. So there's heavy programming with this, superpowers. So it's interesting to see this connected to a lot of this technology. We've actually seen people referencing it as a superpower, some of this stuff. A new camera with a resolution 5 times more detailed than the human eye, able to monitor thousands of people in real time and identify individual faces has been unveiled by Chinese scientists, prompting renewed fears about mass surveillance. ABC News in Australia reports that the new 500 megapixel cloud camera AI system, dubbed a super camera, was revealed at China's International Industry Fair last week. The camera system, equipped with state-of-the-art facial recognition utilities, what could go wrong, was designed by Fudan University and Changchun Institute of Optics, Fine Mechanics, and Physics of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. It's another one of those where there's just a lot of words. It's a long title. Excuse me, guys. I got to take a drink here real quick. Thank you. Unsweetened iced tea tonight with stevia. You know what stevia is? Stevia. Where do you work? I work at Fine Mechanics and Physics of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. It just seems like a lot, doesn't it? Where do you work? McDonald's. Where do you work? Fine Mechanics and Physics of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. The designers claim that the system can detect and identify thousands of human faces or other objects in real time and instantly locate specific targets in environments such as crowded stadiums. Of course, it would work equally as well at protests. Of course. The designers suggested that police could set up the camera system in the center of Shanghai and monitor the movement of crowds while cross-checking the images with medical and criminal records. A professor of the National Defense University of the People's Liberation Army, again, a long title, in Beijing, even more, told the Global Times that the system could very easily be applied to national defense, military, and public security. Technology like this in the hands of communist Chinese authorities who already operate a citizen social credit system does not bode well for privacy rights and freedom. The party state has massive databases of people's images and the capability to connect them to their identity, so it isn't inconceivable that technology like this is possible, if not now, then in the future, Samantha Hoffman, an analyst at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, noted. Long titles, these people. That one's not too bad. The social credit system, which rewards good behavior with incentives and punishes disobedience by restricting and banning people from buying travel tickets, that is so crazy, isn't it? Is currently enforced using a vast network of over 200 million surveillance cameras as well as other tracking tools. However, the 500 million pixel super camera would take surveillance capabilities to a different level. Scientists noted that the current crop of cameras are able to monitor thousands of people at once, but each face is in the wide shot can only be represented by a few pixels, meaning you couldn't clearly see your targeted person at all. The data from the video will be fed into a pool of data that, combined with AI processing, can generate tools for social control. Wow, there we go. It's the inner workings of this digital creature, this digital beast, including tools linked to the social credit system. It's insanity. What could go wrong? I think this is a news story that we get to watch together.
38-year-old.
Yeah, let's check this out.
Cassandra Medina Hernandez is facing multiple charges, including delivery of meth, reckless endangerment, and causing another person to ingest a controlled substance.
Well, it is surprising, yeah, for a town like this.
The investigation started on September 9th. According to court documents, a Thriftway employee in Jefferson went back to the deli to get some food for her lunch break. She says Medina Hernandez, who works in the deli, let her try some of the bean dip she was making. She liked it so much, she got some to take home during her break. When she went to eat it, a bite tasted funny, but at the time, she didn't think much of it. When she went back to work, she started feeling unsteady. She went to the hospital, where investigators say tests showed what's believed to be meth in her system. Medina Hernandez is accused of putting meth in the bean dip. Shoppers say they're shocked.
I think it's really unusual. I really do. I've never heard of such a thing.
Deputies believe at least one additional employee ate the dip from the same dish suspected of being contaminated. They made the arrest after interviewing multiple employees and reviewing surveillance video. Store owners say she's worked here since July and has been a reliable employee. She's currently suspended from her job as the investigation continues.
How about that, huh? Spiked bean dip, man. Spiked bean dip with meth. Can you imagine? That is so crazy. The next day at work, she's got like 10 people coming up to her all sweating. Hey, man, you got some more of that bean dip? I just need a little bit, man. That's all. It's real good. Real good. I was eating it all night last night. Trump shines spotlight on Christians being killed. First president to host UN religious freedom meeting. I just said a bunch of bad words on YouTube. I'm going to show you the banned words list here in a little bit too. It's up here somewhere. Some of these you'll be very surprised by. Donald Trump has become the first U.S. president to ever host a meeting at the United Nations on religious freedom. As president, protecting religious freedom is one of my highest priorities, Trump told the nations of the world on Monday. In his keynote address to the UN, President Trump pointed to alarming statistics showing 80% of the world's population lives in countries where religious liberty is threatened, restricted, or even banned. When I heard that number, I said, please go back and check it because it can't possibly be correct. And sadly, it was 80%, Trump said. And followers of Christ are among the most heavily persecuted around the world. In fact, it's estimated that 11 Christians die each day for their faith. I mean, just think of this, 11 Christians a day for following the teaching of Christ, Trump said. But he said the problem of persecution is clearly much broader. In 2016, an 85-year-old Catholic priest was viciously killed while celebrating Mass in Normandy, France. In the past year, the United States endured horrifying anti-Semitic attacks against Jewish Americans at synagogues in Pennsylvania and California. In March, okay, I'm not going to read all those things. This video is already going to be in trouble. I got to be careful. In response to this global religious persecution, the president announced an additional $25 million in funding to protect religious sites and relics. There will also be a new business coalition focused on workers. This is the first time this has been done, Trump said. This initiative will encourage the private sector to protect people of all faiths in the workplace. All right. Cool. That's good news, right? Speaking of good news, this will probably be really good news for some of you out there. A couple received nearly 25,000 ecstasy pills in the mail by mistake. A middle-aged couple in Austria received quite a surprise one morning when a parcel that was supposed to contain dresses bought online from a retailer in the Netherlands turned out to contain nearly 25,000 ecstasy tablets. Whoa. The unnamed Austrian woman, 58, mistook the purple pills for decorative stones, police said, but on closer inspection, her husband, 59, realized they were probably stimulants and returned the package to their local post office in Linz, Upper Austria, not before trying 3 or 4 of them for himself. All right, I added that last part in. The originally planned cozy breakfast was quickly over, and to the horror of the couple, it turned out that though one of the packages did contain the 2 dresses, the second, however, had 24,800 ecstasy tablets worth about 500,000, said a statement from Upper Austria police. The post office was equally astonished, which is why the police and subsequently the narcotics department of the city police was informed. According to Austrian police, the 24,800 pills were worth around 500 to 550,000, though Police Scotland told CNN that the likely UK value of the drugs was closer to 205,000. Interesting. How about you guys? Any of you out there, would y'all kept these? Come on, be honest. You can tell us. Tell us in the chat. Let us know who you are. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Wow, 25,000 ecstasy pills in the mail by mistake. But you know, that could, if you did choose to keep something like that, I mean, obviously there'll be a huge risk. It could also kill you if you start taking the stuff, or it could kill other people. And it could put you away in jail for a really long time, right? But I know some of you would probably keep them. Nations invited for animal sacrifice on Mount of Olives, renewing Noah's covenant. Have you guys seen this? This is pretty crazy. It's really crazy, man. When you talk about the Mount of Olives, I always think of Jesus every time. There's a lot of things happened on the Mount of Olives with Jesus. He spent a lot of time on the Mount of Olives, right? That's where the resurrection was, I believe, as well, was the Mount of Olives. So we have this activity, nations invited for animal sacrifice on the Mount of Olives. And Jesus was the original sacrifice on the Mount of Olives. And they say this is renewing Noah's covenant, which makes me think about the Noahide laws. So we'll get into some of that in a little bit. Let's take a look here. On September 25th, we're going to get into this one a little bit. I think it's kind of long, but it's worth kind of looking at. On September 25th, the 5,780th anniversary of the day on which Jewish tradition holds the world was created, the Sanhedrin is holding a conference for the emerging organization of 70 nations. I've never heard of that before. The conference will culminate in an animal sacrifice made by representatives of the nations on the Mount of Olives, in which they will renew the covenant made by Noah upon leaving the ark. Wow. The conference will begin on Wednesday evening, September 25th. So this already happened, the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Elul at the Jerusalem Gate Hotel, and continues till Friday, September 27th. All right, lectures, discussions. God established the borders of the world based on the 70 children of Israel who went down to Egypt and the 70 nations that came out from Noah. The concept of 70 nations also appears in reference to the 70 oxen offered in the temple throughout Sukkot, the Feast of the Tabernacles, which the Talmud teaches are for the merit of the 70 nations. The organization emphasizes that every nation will keep its unique and distinct national identity, cultural heritage, language, and recognized borders. In attendance will be official representatives of several nations: Guatemala, El Salvador, Costa Rica. Hey, Costa Rica, Mexico. So Central South American looks like. Bolivia also, Trinidad, Honduras. Okay. Universal prayer. The first day of the conference will end with a joint prayer by all the participants. This is also more of that pulling together as one type. This is definitely an arm of that, I feel. Plus, their Messiah is not the same as ours. You already know this. Some of you know this. The first day of the conference will end with a joint prayer by all the participants. Rabbi Yeshayahu Hollander, the Sanhedrin's foreign minister, has been tasked with composing the unique prayer for the special occasion. Religion's a difficult word, he said. An individual does not need a religion to relate to God. That's true. Adam did not need religion to speak to God. Religion's an activity that a community does together. Nations were established with Noah, and then there became a need for religion. We need to come together as distinct nations and religions. Okay, well, that's good. I like the distinct. Okay, I'm with that. Sure. Sure, I guess, but this just feels weird, doesn't it? I'm sure I'm missing something. This is kind of a long article. I don't know if I feel like reading the whole thing, to be honest with you, now that I think about it, now that I start looking at it. But we're just going to kind of trot through here and see what we can find. Here we go. Noahide principles. Much of the conference will be dedicated to the 7 principles incumbent upon all mankind, given to Noah after the biblical flood. Yep, there's the Noahide laws. A lecture on the subject will be given by the chairman of Brit Olam Noahide World Center, Rabbi Ori Cherky. Another long title. Rabbi Hollander. I'm KJ. Rabbi Hollander, who also sits on the board of the Brit Olam organization, is convinced that universal adherence to the Noahide laws is necessary for the existence of civilization. Wow, I may need to make a video on this and study this deeper. This might want it being a video or just a separate broadcast where we just talk about some of this. Because now I'm going to want to, over the next few days, read more about this and see what happened. This is interesting. Noahide laws is no bueno, to put it simply. Let's see what else we got. So yeah, they're going to do the sacrifice. This is a religious act, but not for any specific religion. Rabbi Weiss said, this is a meta-religion, not a global religion, which is inherent in every person and expressed in his own way. The world needs to return to religion. Rejecting God is a sickness that is afflicting the world. Secularism rejects human values. The UN declared abortion and euthanasia to be human rights. This is a sign of sickness. The concept of family, a father, a mother, is a basic human quality, reinforced by religion and rejected by secularism. The concept of belonging to a nation, to a tribe, to a people is rejected by secularism. Man was given the mandate to care for the world, but they have turned people into animals and animals into people. It is impossible to continue like this. I mean, I agree with a lot of what he just said there. For sure, right? I'm with that. But what are the details? The details, I need to know the details. Return of the Lost 10 Tribes. Another purpose of the conference and the organization of the 70 nations is to begin the return of the lost 10 tribes of Israel. The establishment of the modern state of Israel began the process of the ingathering of the exiles, Rabbi Weiss explained. In the past, people who were descended from Jews would fade away and never return. We're blessed to live in an age when so many of these people are discovering their roots in the Jewish people and are reconnecting to this. But the next step is to raise awareness so that the lost 10 tribes of Israel can return as well as prophesied. And you shall declare to them, thus said Hashem, I am going to take B'nai Yisrael from among the nations they have gone to, and gather them from every quarter and bring them to their own land. Ezekiel 37:21. Towards this end, Rabbi Eliyahu Birnbaum, who travels the world looking for hidden descendants of Jews. That's a weird job. What do you do for a living? I travel the world looking for hidden descendants of Jews. What do you do for a living? I work at McDonald's. This guy travels the world looking for hidden descendants of Jews. Will be the first keynote speaker to address the conference. There's a lot of debate on what a Hebrew really is, or what a Jew really is too. Right? You know this. The 70 Nations Initiative began last year at the World Creation Concert, another one I've never heard of, when high-ranking delegations from Honduras, Guatemala, and Mexico signed a declaration saying, we as representatives of our nations declare that according to the laws of Torah that God to Moses at Mount of Sinai, and according to the prophets of Israel and all the books of the Bible, we wish to accompany the people of God, the people of Israel, to the place chosen by God, the temple on Mount Moriah, the place of binding thee of Isaac. All this in order to serve only the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as it's written, that my house will be called a house of prayer to all peoples. We are all gathered together in the name of peace and love with the people of Israel in the courtyards of the house of God as the sages of Israel, and to fulfill the messianic vision of peace. God blessed Abraham by saying, they that will bless you will be blessed. We pray that by blessing Israel today, we in turn will be blessed. 70 Nations Principles. All right, man, this is some good stuff. Some good. I'm gonna look more into this, and maybe I'll just do a solo broadcast on just this subject. This is very interesting to me. If any of you know anything about this stuff, please let us know in the chat, or let us know below in the comment section once this is uploaded. Your thoughts on this. What do you know about the Noahide laws? I know a bit myself, and we can get more into that sometime. I hadn't really seen anything. You know, a lot of people talk about the Noahide laws in the comment sections. I've been getting it for like a year. Hey, KJ, what about the Noahide laws? My thing is, I hadn't really seen anything up to now until I seen this that made me think much of the Noahide laws. I knew what they were, but I had no idea how they would try to bring them into like a world system or something like this. And now I see this and I'm like, okay, all right. Now I see why some of you have been badgering me for a year about the Noahide laws. So I'm going to look more into it, and maybe like I said, just do a solo broadcast on this. I've got a new video coming out too, probably tomorrow, maybe late tomorrow, or definitely the day after. Just a heads up. And I want to do some more live chat shows as well, with some guests, and then just some solo ones. So I've got plenty of stuff in the works, and don't you worry about that. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, this is pretty nuts. The OK hand gesture and the bowl cut have been added to a hate symbols database. The world really is gone cuckoo. You know what's so weird about this? Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink real quick here. You know, when we look at symbols and symbolism, we always try to go back to the original meaning, where these things originally come from, how long they've been around, because they change meanings, you know, through time, don't they? And the okay hand sign, you know, many of us understand that as a sign of the Satanists, right? Or Luciferians, or the Hollywood satanic sellouts, because so many of them, there's so much proof of this, so many of them use them along with other symbols that are associated with Satanism, or what we call the Illuminati type symbolism. So we know where it's coming from. We know the spirit working behind it. And now this is what the world does. This is what the world does with it. You know, now they take it and they label it. Look at this. The okay hand gesture, a mass killer's bowl style haircut, and an anthropomorphic moon wearing sunglasses are among 36 new entries in a Jewish civil rights group's online database of hate symbols used by white supremacists and other far-right extremists. The ADL, hey, all right. They're one of the fact checkers for YouTube. We're in good hands, guys. It's going to be all right. The Anti-Defamation League has added the symbols to its online hate on display database, which already includes burning crosses. Get that. I can't say all those words. These words. The New York City-based group launched the database in 2000 to help law enforcement officers, school officials, and others recognize signs of extremist activity. And it's grown to include nearly 200 entries. The ADL has updated its database to include the OK hand symbol, which became fodder for a 4chan trolling campaign to dupe viewers into thinking the fingers formed the letters W and P to mean white power. But the ADL says extremists also are using it as a sincere expression of white supremacy. How ridiculous. But anyway, this is what happens. You know, we see it for kind of the satanic, the satanic meaning behind it when people use that. And we take these things in context. You know what I mean? My dad's a businessman. He has his own business, and he is very animated sometimes when he talks. And sometimes he'll make that okay hand sign when he's talking, and he doesn't even know anything about it, doesn't realize what he's doing. You know what I mean? So it's just, we take things in context. I mean, there's that. Or then, you know, you got Lady Gaga riding out during like a Super Bowl halftime show on Baphomet's shoulders, and she's doing the okay hand sign. You know, then that means something else, you know, right? So now it's considered a white supremacy thing. Anyway, this is, and the bowl cut as well. Bowl cut is dangerous. The bowl cut is dangerous. Mo would be considered a domestic terrorist right now. Mo from the Three Stooges would be considered a dangerous domestic terrorist. I wonder if there's any pictures out there of Mo doing the okay hand sign from the Three Stooges. Maleficent Mistress of Evil. Angelina Jolie talks playing a little crazy. Maleficent exclusive. I don't know. The headline. I wish the picture would come up. It's probably because let me do this. Pause on this site. And maybe we can get a picture up here. Here we go. Eek! Mommy, I'm scared. She scares me. I did a video on my KG Osborne channel many years ago called, I think it's called Reasons Why Angelina Jolie Creeps Me Out. Maybe that was it, but it's an oldie but a goodie. That may be one of those that's over 1 million views now. Maybe. I've got a few of them on that KJ channel. Not to toot my own horn, okay? But beep, beep. I'm just kidding. I certainly don't think that I'm in a place on YouTube where I'll ever get to see one of my videos hit 1 million views again. I'm lucky to get over 100,000 now. Let's see here. If I can just see kind of here we go. It's just, again, more of this selling. Disney does this all the time. The evil characters are always the coolest and most interesting to the children. That's the way I see it. And it's just a a subtle way, or maybe not so subtle in some cases, way of selling Satanism to children. They've been doing this for years. She gives me the creeps. You know, there's a really interesting picture of her. Man, this goes way back. Like I said, my video, it's probably from 2013, 2014, about Angelina Jolie. And there's this picture. You could only find it. It was a real online, I think it was like a French entertainment type magazine, like France's version of like Entertainment Tonight or something. It's the best of my recollection. It's been years, but you know, I've got a mind for these weird little facts and strange videos and stuff. So, but there's this picture you can find of her out there, and it's in my video in particular, where there's some kind of a strange looking growth coming out of her cheek. And there's 2 or 3 pictures where it's there. And it's really clear. Does that make any sense to you guys? Maybe some of y'all can go look it up. What you might put in reptilian Angelina Jolie picture, something like that. Because it looks like some, I don't know, man, almost like a fin or something coming out of the side of her cheek. It's very strange. There's 2 or 3 pictures of it, all from the same source. And they were just taking pictures of her, and I think it was with her and Brad at some event or something, just hanging out. So look it up. That might be something fun for y'all to dig into. We still got a long show ahead of us. I got a lot to get into here. But that might be something fun you can do on the side over there in the chat. Open up another window, look up Angelina Jolie reptilian picture or something like that. You'll see. And just see what you find. And unless Google, I never use Google for that kind of stuff anymore anyway, but you know, I wouldn't use them anyway. They probably memory hold a lot of this stuff. We know they're doing that actively. So try Yahoo maybe, or DuckDuckGo. Who knows? Something other than Google. Here's a weird story. Dying MI5 hitman confesses to killing Princess Diana by direct orders of Prince Philip. 80-year-old British intelligence agent who was just days away from death has made a shocking confession that he was tasked with murdering Princess Diana on behalf of the royal family. John Hopkins, who was an MI5 operative between 73 and 99, is claimed to have carried out over 23 assassinations of individuals who posed a threat to national security. The retired hitman for the UK government worked as part of a cell of 7 operatives who carried out assassinations of politicians, journalists, activists, and union leaders involving poisons and chemicals. Mr. Hopkins claims that Princess Diana was the only woman he ever killed, saying she was the only target where the order came directly from the royal family. He went on to add that she was a beautiful, kind-hearted woman whose life was tragically cut short because she was placing the British crown at risk. The final straw came when the royal family gathered evidence that she was planning to divorce Prince Charles. She knew too many raw secrets. She had a huge grudge, and she was going to go public with all sorts of wild claims. I was told she had to die and received orders directly from Prince Philip to make it look like an accident. I'd never killed a woman before, much less a princess, but I obeyed orders. I did it for Queen and country. The operation was under strict control of Buckingham Palace in cooperation with the mainstream media. The conspiracy involved the media and palace to square their stories, making sure that everybody was on the same page. After being told of the news that he only has a short time left to live by doctors, Hopkins says he will spend his final weeks at home, but expects to be arrested or even silenced. He said, "If they try to take me out, they'll be doing me a favor. Most of my colleagues are already dead." Interesting, huh? So this one, we're going to watch a little bit, just a couple of sequences. It's almost 20 minutes long, and it's too much. And she repeats herself a few times. One of my subscribers sent this to me. I'm sorry, I can't remember which one it was. But guys, keep it up. Guys and gals. I always say guys inclusively, right? It's ladies, it's men, it's other, it's whatever, right? So, but guys, you're wonderful. Mad Guns Forever. Again, big shout out to you. Always sending me awesome links as well. Just thanks, all of you. Appreciate you helping out. It's really great. So, CupcakKe quits music. CupcakKe, I had never even heard of. I don't listen to this kind of music myself, rap or hip hop or anything. It's just not my style. I like indie. I like hard to find. I like up and coming experimental stuff. I like the raw creative type stuff. Where just it doesn't even matter the genre as long as you can feel the raw, real creativity and the hunger in these artists. And I love that. I love that. You don't find it on the radio anymore unless they're playing stuff from the 70s and 80s and maybe some from the 90s and the 00s. But, I feel like it all kind of fell. Well, definitely the early 90s was grunge. So, but after grunge went out, man, I feel like that was almost the last gasp, of truly interesting, edgy kind of music, mainstreaming, at least mainstream. Anyway, I'm rambling. I ramble. You guys still with me? Is this thing on? CupcakKe quits music. It was very interesting, though, what she has to say. I believe she's being really honest about this. She goes into detail and explains this isn't a scam. She's not going to come back in a few days and drop a new album. And so we'll just listen to a couple different parts, sequences, okay? Let's check some of this out. And this young lady, you can look her up, CupcakKe with 2 Ks. She's made a lot of really overtly sexual type songs, and that's one of the reasons she's getting out of it. I'll let her explain. So she's one of these people, it's been kind of exploited from the industry and used to sexualize the youth and all this. Anyway, check this out.
So, as y'all know, I am on tour right now. And the tour is called the 10K Tour, where I'm giving out $10,000. Let me backtrack. So the last couple days, y'all have known me to be very much of a nice, well, all my career, y'all have known me to be very of a nice girl, which I am. Recently, the past night and today, I just been sporadic. And it's because I wanted to get as much attention as possible to let y'all know that I will no longer be doing music. And all of my music will be coming off of every platform. I decided to give up. Or I wouldn't say give up, I would say let go of music because I feel as though I'm corrupting the youth.
There it is.
When I made...
I love this too, by the way. I love this. I don't know this lady. Some people may say it's all just a sham, but we're going to keep watching some. But I feel she's being sincere. I feel you're looking at someone that may be convicted by the Holy Spirit, for real. If you listen to what she's saying.
Those songs, I was like 16, 17. And honestly, I really couldn't, I could give two shits, But I saw a video and it was of a 13-year-old dancing to the music. And I just decided that that's it. I don't want to do music no more. This video or live or whatever you call it, someone was telling me to go on YouTube.
All right, I'm going to move it up a little bit to another part. We'll listen to just a little more, but if you couldn't hear her, she said that one of the main moments that made her decide this is she saw a little girl, maybe around 13, dancing to one of these really nasty songs she sings, where it's literally saying stuff like F me, and stuff like that, right? So can you imagine? Can you just imagine? Some of these people have no heart or soul, it seems, at all. They just don't care. But at least this lady cares, because that would rip me into shreds. If I had made some song, I never would. But if I had done something like that, and you see a bunch of little kids singing along about it, about some filthy acts. Anyway, let's watch a little more.
Before I say that, all of my social medias will be deleted. I no longer want Twitter. I no longer want Instagram. Another thing I realized is, well, let me say this. The reason why I did them type of videos was because I wanted to, of course, help my family, but at the same time, I wanted to bring attention to me. And that's why, if you notice, people that have been, supporting me for a while knows that I've been, I'll drop a sexual song, and then right behind it, I'll drop like a song that, really shows my talent. I did it to bring awareness to my actual talent and not to, the sexual music. But it seems like no matter what I do, the sexual music just overpowers the quote unquote non-sexual music, talented music. I also realized that no matter how good of an artist I am, the media would never support me, because if I could be brutally honest, my size.
Anyway, that's about it. I just want to show some of that. I thought it was interesting. You can look her up. As I said, she was really making a name for herself, one of these up and coming, kind of singers or rappers or whatever. And it's all really, a lot of it's really dirty, so pretty much explains it all right there, doesn't it? They all have to do it, don't they? And especially right now. Remember what happened to Heath Ledger after he played the Joker? I'm not putting that out there, at least in that way, and I hope it didn't come across like that. I wouldn't want anything like that to happen to Joaquin Phoenix, but it's interesting. There's a whole thing. I did a video on that years ago. That's like one of those 2012 videos, maybe. But on Heath Ledger and all the interesting symbolism around him and what happened. And now, we're seeing a little bit here. I just did a video on the rise of the nihilists and Joker. We definitely see it's a massive bit of programming. Now we got this. Joaquin Phoenix features on massive vegan billboard demanding an end to speciesism. But they all have to do it, right? We are all animals. That's exactly what the beast system wants us to believe. There's nothing special about being human, even though we're one of God's greatest creations, right? Not to brag or anything, but we're a pretty big deal. Us humans are a pretty big deal in God's eyes. Pretty big deal. Certainly not just animals. We watch over the animals. We care for the animals. I've got a cat named Chubbs. I'm a best friend. Some of you may think that's pathetic, but hey, I've traveled around a lot in my life, okay? I always make friends in different places, but I've been back home now for a few years, looking for a way out. Maybe we'll do the RV thing sometime. Who knows? We'll see. We are all animals. Yes, that's the message. We're all animals. I noticed something weird. This just popped in my head with Amazon Prime the other day. The symbolism on there. I showed y'all, I think about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, there's a whole thing out there where people were saying that the symbol on Amazon might be a wiener. And that was a whole deal. Like, a lot of people are seeing that. I'd never seen it until someone had suggested it in the story. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I could make that out. But I also don't walk around seeing wieners everywhere. Some people do. I don't. I feel that's a blessing. We are all animals. So that's the message. But on Amazon Prime, wait, is it Amazon Prime? Sorry, man, I'm getting my circuits shorting over here. I'm trying to think. It wasn't Amazon. It's Amazon Direct. Anyway, I'm just going to shut up right now, but I'll find it later, and maybe next week I'll show you what I'm trying to talk about. But I found this weird symbolism, something connected with Amazon. I made a note of it. I just can't get to it right now. Connected with the ID channel, with the id channel. And I've done some videos on investigation discovery being all about your id, featuring entertainment, that feeds into our darkest desires or things like this, or sociopathic tendencies in people and things like that. So I know this sounds weird, and this is the way my mind works, but once I put it all together, it'll make sense. I'll probably show it to you next week, okay? Anyway, but it's just a cool symbol I found, something I thought was interesting. Couple charged with abandoning, this is a follow-up story from last week. Couple charged with abandoning adopted Ukrainian daughter with dwarfism after claiming she was a 22-year-old sociopath masquerading as a 6-year-old. Appear in court and could face conviction for dumping a disabled adult. The adoptive parents of abandoned Natalia Barnett appeared in court for the first time today to deny felony neglect charges for allegedly dumping her and moving to Canada. And in a fresh twist, prosecutors hint that the 3-foot-tall Natalia's true age was not crucial to their case because the couple could still be convicted of dumping a mentally or physically disabled adult under Indiana law. They say Christine and Michael Barnett rented an apartment for their adopted daughter, who has a rare form of dwarfism. Yeah, that dwarfism. And then broke off all contact when they moved abroad in 2013. According to charging documents, Ukrainian-born Natalia was a minor child and dependent on the pair when they left her to fend for herself in Lafayette, Indiana. There's the mom. There's the dad. Guess that's the dad. Yeah, that's the mom. There she is. There's the dad. There's the dwarf. Parenting author Christine, 45, has sensationally claimed, however, that Natalia was actually a grown-up pretending to be a child because of a severe psychiatric illness. She insists her family are the true victims, having been scammed into adopting a sociopathic adult in 2010 whom they believed was a 6-year-old girl. Wow. And I've done a lot of videos and we talk a lot about mirror world and how entertainment mirrors reality. And a lot of y'all pointed this out last week on the other KJ show about the movie that came out, that it was this exact scenario, basically. Can't remember what the name of it was. You guys are probably talking about it in the chat. Maybe you can drop it in the comment section. But yeah, you're spot on. I mean, it was a story about a family adopting a girl from another country, and turns out it's actually a young woman with a disease, and she's crazy. one of the creepiest scenes ever was her trying to seduce her father. That was, yeah. Can't remember the name of the movie, though. Sorry, guys. Anyway. The Barnetts, who have since divorced, admit leaving her behind and moving to Canada so their oldest son, Jacob, a physics prodigy with autism, could attend university there. But the estranged couple say that by then, Natalia was legally considered an adult after they obtained an emergency court order in 2012 that revised her age from age 8 to 22 on the advice of medical experts. Christine Barnett looked ashen-faced and anxious this morning as she and co-defendant Michael Barnett, 43, appeared together at the Tippecanoe Magistrates Court. I always liked that word, Tippecanoe. The mother of 3, wearing a floral blouse. Well, who cares? She shook her head and looked close to tears as Magistrate Daniel J. Moore read out the 2 counts of felony neglect, which he said could carry a combined maximum prison sentence of 5.5 years. Wow, does look like a little girl, though. There you go. There you have it. Alien life may be hidden on the moon, which acts like a fishing net to trap interstellar objects, Harvard scientist says. In an op-ed published in Scientific American, theoretical physicists and Harvard professor Abraham Loeb says that our own moon may be fishing net for alien life. The idea is to consider the moon's surface as a fishing net for interstellar objects collected over time and potentially deliver building blocks of life from habitable environments around other stars. Because the moon is geologically inactive, Loeb says the surface would likely retain any intriguing interstellar clues brought via asteroid or some other astrophysical source instead of burying evidence deep under the lunar surface. He looks mischievous, doesn't he? I don't know if I trust this guy. Objects collected by the moon's surface would likely extend back billions of years, making the moon a kind of mailbox, as he puts it, for objects flying around our solar system. Though most of those impacts would likely be the result of objects originated from within our solar system, recent evidence shows that interstellar travelers in our neck of the galaxy may be a lot more common than previously thought. Just recently, astronomers identified the second known interstellar object to enter our solar system, a comet dubbed 21 Borisov, that will be visible by telescopes for up to a year. Remember this one? Oumuamua? In 2017, researchers identified Oumuamua, the first, a mysterious cigar-shaped projectile formerly named object that resembled both a comet and an asteroid, though it didn't conform to many of the other defining features usually associated with those objects. I see that. I remember that story. I've got it in a couple of videos. To me, it's just more soft disclosure. They've been doing it for a while. We have a space force now. Those objects not only portend extraterrestrial pay dirt on the moon, says Loeb, but studying them could also help to inform scientists exactly how much may be lurking on the surface. All right, there you go. Got it. Look at him. He looks like he's hiding around a corner and he's holding something. He's going to hit you with it. He's like right over his shoulder. He's holding a big bar over his shoulder. He's around the corner and he's waiting on you. And he doesn't even have a reason. You've done nothing to this guy. He just looks mischievous. I don't think I like him. Multiple Jewish sources point to Israel's election impasse as the gateway to Messiah. Remember, they have a different Messiah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu looks at an 800-years-old Torah scroll as he meets with Yemenite Jews who were brought to Israel last week as part of a secret rescue operation at the Knesset, the Israeli parliament in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem is where they have the building. It's their Senate, I believe. as a massive pyramid with an all-seeing eye on it. You seen that before? After a source close to Rabbi Kaduri cited a 40-year-old prediction by the now-deceased Rabbi Kaduri predicting Israel's current political impasse, several other prophetic sources, some more credible than others, were discovered confirming this prediction. One indicates that the election stalemate will lead to a heavenly battle that will decide the fate of all mankind. Rabbi Kaduri's prediction. In June, Breaking Israel News published an article citing a 40-year-old prediction by Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri, the most famous Kabbalist mystic in Israel until his death in 2006. According to an eyewitness, Rabbi Kaduri predicted that the Messiah will be revealed following an election stalemate in Israel. At a small gathering, Rabbi Kaduri was asked when the Moshiach, Messiah, will come. He answered, "When there will be elections, but there will be no government." The prediction is even more powerful after the second round of elections held last week leave both major parties struggling to form a coalition government. An article in Yisrael Hayom, a Hebrew language news service, confirmed Rabbi Kaduri's prediction and added even more details. Yisrael Hayom reported on Monday that a book was found in the Yeshiva, Torah learning institution, Nahalat Yitzhak, founded in Jerusalem by Rabbi Kaduri's son, Rabbi David Kaduri, with a focus on the study of Kabbalah mysticism. The book titled Oshvato Liashak. Those are fun words to say. Don't get me wrong. They're fun to say. I have no idea what they mean. In the book, there's a startling section which reads, "On the eve of the fifth cycle of 1,000 years, the year 5780 is a year of fixing. There will be no government in Israel for an extended period, and the different camps will fight and argue a great deal without any conclusion in this way or the other. Then, on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, which will be next Sunday evening, the side of holiness will battle the side of darkness in heaven until God himself and his hosts will decide the issue. And this is all I can say about this issue," Rabbi Kaduri wrote. "I have been sworn to not reveal any more secrets." The article quoted an interview with an anonymous Moshe N., the assistant to Yossi Kaduri, and Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri's grandson. The handwritten manuscripts that we received directly from Yitzhak Kaduri that speak about the redemption and the failure to form a government prior to the coming of the Moshiach are very similar to what has been published, but the wording in the publications is imprecise. Similar predictions were written by Rabbi Kaduri's learning partner, Rabbi Menachem Menashi. Another word, fun to say. Fun to say. Menachem Menashi. You just keep the Menachem Menashi. Spinning around in circles. Menachem Menashi. Who wrote the book Ahavat Shaim, Love of Life, and his commentary on the section of the Torah? I don't know, man. This is starting to get a little convoluted for me. But anyway, what's it say at the very bottom? Okay. Well, there we go. I think we get the gist, right? Sometimes these stories lose me. And if they're losing me, I know they're losing you. And I'm glad you're here. So I don't want to lose you. BBC teaching children there are over 100 genders. What could go wrong? Man, I shouldn't laugh. But it's public education. It's the tax-funded British propaganda service known as BBC is facing global criticism and ridicule after falsely teaching children that there are over 100 genders and that those who disagree can be jailed. The dangerous lie was peddled to primary school kids ages 9 through 12 as part of its supposedly educational Teach video series known as The Big Talk. Leading experts, including the American College of Pediatricians, have argued that teaching transgender propaganda to children is child abuse. Even worse is normalizing the impersonation of the opposite gender, which increasingly is causing confused children to seek out irreversible surgical mutilation of their privates and hormone regimens. I don't know. But the BBC showed no signs of concern in peddling the dangerous quackery to impressionable young children. You know, there are so many gender identities. A teacher responds to a child in one of the government-funded videos. We know that we have got male and female, but there are over 100, if not more, gender identities now. The head teacher, described by BBC as a trusted adult. Oof. Trusted adult. Clown world. Honk, honk. We really are. We're in clown world. Da, 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 da. The head teacher, described by the BBC as a trusted adult. BBC is 322 backwards, by the way. That's all Masonic up there, up there in England. All Masonic. I'll tell you what. But really, the BBC is the backward 322, which is connected with the American Illuminati. The Skull and Bones. The head teacher, described by BBC as a trusted adult. You can trust this story because he's a trusted adult. We confirmed it. Goes on to provide examples of various gender identities people can have. The trusted adult says, you've got some people who might call themselves gender queer, who are just like, I don't really want to be anything in particular. I'm just going to be me. The adult says, confusing untold millions of British children. Of course, in reality, there are only two genders, male and female, and every strand of an individual's DNA testifies to this fact. Ironically, BBC and other tax-funded, quote, news services around the world have increasingly been labeling critics of their pseudoscience on climate and gender as science deniers. And yet science is clear. There are men and women, and that's it. The BBC, though, wants children to believe that only the ignorant disagree and that they may be jailed if they publicly refuse to go along. In another video within the series dubbed Respecting Myself and Others, the, quote, trusted adult informs the children that those who object to the gender confusion just don't know any better yet. And this is coming from a trusted adult. So kids, it's okay. The BBC, an inverted 322, wants you to know. So you're going to be all right. Okay? You got that, kids? Speaking of kids, how about that segue? Surprise, the official escort for 16-year-old global warming expert Greta Thunberg is a leftist hack funded by Soros, who's a globalist piece of garbage. Sorry, that's a little harsh. The 16-year-old is an expert, we are told. Here we go. 16-year-old Greta Thunberg traveled by boat to the U.S. from Sweden to lecture Americans on global warming. The 16-year-old is an expert, we are told. Greta Thunberg told Americans, you're not trying hard enough. Evidently, Greta wants us to travel by boats to and from Europe. Greta is a media-created phenomenon. What the media does not tell you is who is behind this perky kid. I wouldn't call her perky. She's always mean-mugging. Looks very angry. She's an angry child. Very angry child. If you check out her photos, young Greta is being escorted around the country by her handler, far-left activist Louisa Marie Neubauer. And here it says, Thunberg is a known free family. The ancestor of her mother was a natural philosopher, social engineer from Uppsala, who has ties to Bavarian Illuminati founder Adam Weishaupt. Wow, that's heavy. That's good research. Wide awake. Good job. I love stuff like that. I still love learning. I'm not kidding around. I love learning. It's why I always battle. I've got a lot of passion for what I do. I'm really blessed that people out there support the work. And thank you so much, guys, that I can continue doing this the way I do. I've been doing it for years. I love doing this kind of stuff. But I battle because there's a lot of negative stuff that comes with this. You know, you got to deal with a lot of negative feedback sometimes, a lot of anger, a lot of just bad stuff, you know? And so you go back and forth, but it's my passion. And even just right here, it's just, I love learning stuff too. I still love learning things I didn't know. And then somehow later find other things that connect to that. And then that's how I'll create new videos, you know? Anyway, I didn't know this about this family. So that's very interesting to me. Her handler, on the photos behind her, you see Louisa Marie Neubauer. She's a member of one foundation managed by Bono, Bill Gates, and George Soros. Oof. Louisa Marie Neubauer is a 23-year-old German climate protection activist. In Germany, she is one of the main organizers of the School Strike for Climate movement, inspired by Greta Thunberg. She supports the implementation of Agenda 2030. Oh, boy. You know about Agenda 2030, yeah? She supports the implementation of Agenda 2030 in Germany and a climate policy that is compatible with the Paris Agreement. Neubauer is a member of Alliance 90, the Greens, and the Green Youth. She belongs to one foundation, we were already told. All right. Okay, there you go. Nothing to see here. Greta Thunberg is a completely organic creation to be trusted. She's a perky little kid. Perky. 3 Navy sailors assigned to the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier skilled themselves in 1 week in separate incidents, officials reveal. Captain Sean Bailey said the 3 had died in separate unrelated incidents last week, bringing the total to 5 in the last 2 years. It's not believed any of them died on the ship, which is currently undergoing maintenance at Norfolk Naval Shipyard in Portsmouth, Virginia. I used to live very close to that. When I was in the Coast Guard, I was a clinic in Yorktown, Virginia for 4 years. It's a base. There's a training base out there. It's an officer candidate schools out there. My heart is broken, Captain Bailey said, urging crew members to seek help if needed and watch out for their colleagues. The commanding officer's statement did not name the crew members, and there is no evidence of any connection between the deaths. Captain Bailey went on, these deaths mark the 3rd, 4th, and 5th crew member suicides in the last 2 years. Now is the time to come together as a crew and as a family to grieve, to support each other, and to care for those in need. We need all hands to engage by bringing forward your suggestions and ideas for how we can work together to prevent another suicide. I want to reiterate that there is never any stigma or repercussion from seeking help. Chaplains, psychologists, counselors, and leadership are engaged in advocacy. Just more of... Anyway, that's interesting. A bit mysterious. What's going on the George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier? I still think it's one of the most interesting bits of footage I've ever seen on YouTube. Again, I've been around a long time. And in my movie I made, 12 or 13 years ago now, called The Scariest Movie Ever Made. In that movie, it's a bunch of clips put together. And one of the clips is a sequence from a guy. It's probably the only video he ever uploaded. And he was a very sincere Christian guy, southern fella. Maybe Georgia, I'm thinking. Very sincere Christian fella in Georgia, maybe 30, 35. But he was talking about how he had this, I think it was a $20 bill with Hamilton, right? Isn't Hamilton on the 20? I think it's the 20. And he had it in his, as a marker in his prayer book or a Bible he had. And he had just got like a new 20 from the bank and, whatever. And I guess it was his new bookmark. And after a few days of having it in there, he took a look at it, and it was literally, instead of Hamilton, it was a picture of George H.W. Bush with a massive horn coming out of his forehead. That's in my movie. This is when I was first waking up and finding this stuff and making the movie. That's how I was like, oh my gosh, no one's going to believe this. I just, it was losing my mind there for a while. When I woke up, it was a hardcore crash, but I'm the perfect makeup of someone that needed to find out about this stuff. I came from a film school. I've been an investigator before that as well. I've been a private detective. I've been a medic in the military as well, so that's a bit of investigating. I've always been into sci-fi and horror, and I also had faith. You know, I knew Jesus. I had Christ. I knew God most of my life. So you put all that together, and you get the Scariest Movie Ever YouTube channel and KJ Osborne. You know, that's how it all kind of spills out, I guess. But I'll never forget that. It's in the movie. You can look it up. You might still be able to find it on YouTube. But again, YouTube is so whack right now with the system is just so jacked and rigged. Good luck. But maybe look up like Demon George Bush on money, Demon George Bush on $20 bill. Something like that. It'll blow your mind, man. It's incredible. He had it checked out. The local news did a story on him. I mean, it became kind of a thing. He took it to the bank. Several different people took a look at this, and no one could figure out how it happened. On one side, it's still Hamilton, and then the other side where it still should be Hamilton, like the flip side, it's George Bush with a massive horn popping out of his forehead. I mean, again, guys, this is how I still have a passion for this after all these years, because stuff like that still sticks out in my mind. And it blew me away when I was first getting into all this many, many years ago. And it's all I ever wanted to do was learn and tell people about it, and show people and question things, So thanks for being along on the ride with me. This one's pretty interesting. I just want to share. It's from JT Poetical Realism YouTube channel, 64 subscribers. He published this on Sept 2019, not long ago, and it's really interesting. He writes below, he says, woke up at 5 a.m., noticed this in the distance in the sky. The moon was behind me, and this was in the distance, hovering just there. It looked to be only about 500 feet off the ground, and when daylight came, it was gone with no trace. This was filmed in Ontario, Canada, not long ago. Really interesting. Let's take a look. I guess we'll do a full screen here.
Is that in the air over there? 5 in the morning right now. That's the west.
It looks like fire in the sky.
It's not the moon.
It
It's
looks like
freaking orange.
wings.
I don't know if anybody's ever seen like an orange planet at friggin' 5 a.m. Or whatever that is. It's not the sun, it's not the moon.
He was making it sound like it looked like a big planet. Yeah, maybe that's what we're seeing. I guess maybe those are clouds right there in front, because you can see the makeup of a big round orange object there. So he said it's not the moon. The moon was behind him. So I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about Planet 9, Nibiru, Planet X as well, what Wormwood from the Bible. Perhaps just all the same thing, right? Different names for the same thing. Who knows? And this is how a lot of people actually see these, this mystery planet that's upon us. Some people call it the Anunnaki, right? Sitchin, that was Zechariah Sitchin was in with that. The Anunnaki and Nibiru and all that. But But this is the way a lot of people have filmed these kind of anomalies. It's like these planets will just kind of, or these planetary looking objects just kind of appear where they haven't been before. They'll film it. There's lots of this stuff on YouTube. Even that, though, now I hesitate because, again, man, YouTube's really rigged that whole system. It's so hard to find the really good stuff. You know, you can still kind of find some of the interesting things, but I don't know, man. This is why I always try to, another reason I like doing these shows, at least we're trying to find the most interesting, the most thought-provoking, the stuff we can and get it out there as long as you can. You know, at least we all get a chance to take a look at this stuff before it all maybe disappears. You know, who knows? But anyway, I thought that was an interesting one. JT Poetical Realism, if you want to go watch that on his YouTube channel. I wanted to show this. This is great. We looked at this footage here on the channel not long ago, because this story right here is from June 21st. So just a few months ago. It was before June, actually, when we saw it, because I showed you guys the original clip. This took place in Burbank, I think. And it didn't take long, but it actually made it on Inside Edition. 6.64 million subscribers here, almost 1 million views on this. And it really is great footage. Check this out. I don't know if I can play the audio, but look at that. I mean, this kid recorded this in Burbank, California, in a neighborhood. And it's chilling when it gets down to, watch when it gets down to the house. It literally looks like somebody wearing a kind of a monk hood or something like that. Look at that. And then the craziest part is right here. It slowly descends above the house. Look at that. And then it kind of turns, and then you can really make out its shape. And it really does look like a human, flying humanoid, right? Look like a person in a, right? Like one of those monk robes or something with the hood up. Oh, well. Hopefully they don't hit me for that one. We'll see. IHOP customers damage restaurant assault manager after learning orange juice refills aren't free. Living in America. I always think about that song when I see these stories. Bop, bop. IHOP has to recoup their losses from their annual all-you-can-eat pancake deal somehow. A group dining at an IHOP restaurant in North Carolina reportedly became violent after learning that their refills of orange juice weren't free, according to police. The incident, which went down at an IHOP location in Asheville. Oh, man, Asheville is a great town. I went to college in North Carolina, not Nashville, but I loved Asheville. It's you know, you may even call it kind of a hippie-ish type town in some ways. And there's elements of that, of course, I can't stand. Some of the elements of the hippie type stuff, but there's things I do like. I like artists. I like original art. I like good coffee. I like nice little tavern. You know, I don't know. You know, I like the culture of a lot of these kind of things. I just might not like the people and the politics of some of the people that come along with it, you know, to be honest. So anyway, Asheville, beautiful little city. The incident, which went down at IHOP location in Asheville, took place just before noon last Thursday. The group had reportedly damaged restaurant property upon learning of the orange juice charges and even assaulted an IHOP manager who sustained non-life-threatening injuries. We never want to see anyone injured, especially over the bill at a restaurant, a spokesperson for the Asheville police said. As of this weekend, the Asheville Police Department was trying to identify the family with the help of the restaurant's surveillance footage. How sad a family, too. I mean, did they say they're children? But if there were parents doing this in front of their kids, and they wonder why some of these children turn out to be monsters. Representative for the Asheville police was not immediately available, blah, blah. Okay. that orange juice refill ain't free. Kanye West reportedly says he'll only do gospel music from now on.
Screen.
West will release a documentary called Jesus is King on IMAX October 25th. The movie was filmed over the summer in the Arizona desert. The film follows West and a team of musicians as they lead Sunday services in cities like Chicago, Atlanta, and Detroit, and at Coachella. He's also held many of the services near his home in Calabasas.
Information about President
What do you make of that?
calls with foreign leaders, and it's putting the
What do you make of that? What do you make of that whole thing there? I want it to be good, right? And only God knows Kanye's heart and his mind. And maybe it is legit. Maybe God's actually using Kanye in a way, to spread the word. As long as this doesn't turn out to be a thing where Kanye somehow is portraying himself as Jesus. That was my only kind of initial concern. I don't know yet. I've seen some of the footage of some of these things, and they seem like old school revival types. We've seen for many years. We've seen the same thing happening all across America. Typically, though, it's been white dudes with weird hair, and they garner these followings somehow, and became mega pastors. Some of these people. I remember being, I was raised in the church. I remember being a teenager, and I went to church every Sunday. And I remember at my grandma's house one time, she was watching, I think it was TBN, Trinity Broadcast Network, and had all these people on there that just looked like Simpsons characters. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean. They looked like Simpsons characters, and they really freaked me out back then. And that was a really important moment. I'll never forget it. I was standing in her living room, and I was looking at the TV because there was a whole family on the stage. And I'm not trying to be mean again, but it's just like they were real, like the fashion was like 25 years behind. Some of it looked like it might be 30 years ahead in a bad way. Hairstyles, mostly perm mullets, stuff like this. Now look, hey, I'm not Linda Evangelista over here or anything, but I have always had a bit of my own kind of style, that's always mattered to me. I'm no Tyrese, all right? But I've always known how to dress myself, okay? So, I'm no Cyndi Lauper over here, okay, guys? But I've always been able to put together an outfit all right, So I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens with this whole Kanye West thing. Could God really be using him and guiding him? If so, that's fantastic. We need revivals like this that really reach the people that are in the world and lost. It's one of the reasons I've always done things the way I do it. And a lot of Christians out there from different denominations or whatnot, but there's some elements of my people who've been subbed from the Christian community that just don't get it, and they don't like it. And a lot of people have thought I'm a bad man for showing evil things or being creative in videos. A lot of people got really angry one of my last videos with the music I had in there. I'm not trying to be mean or anything here, but if you can't handle a little spooky music in a video, honestly, you shouldn't be watching my videos because you're just not ready for this stuff. If you're still getting spooked, if you're shaking in your little boots, because KJ put a song, one of his videos that was spooky. Come on, guys, get a grip. Get a grip. You shouldn't be living in fear anyway. We're conquerors through Christ. Prawn, P-O-R-N, plays in shop window for hours. We sincerely apologize to those who saw the content. Explicit videos broadcast from large screen on busy street for 2 hours until staff retake control from hackers. Sunday morning, there's nothing there, but I guess those are the screens where this stuff came up. I wonder if the streets were filled with people, probably a bunch of creepy dudes standing around, hovering about, watching the screen, their hands in their pockets. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying that's probably what happened. Dudes can be creepy, right? Sunday morning, shoppers were shocked to see pornography playing on a large TV screen in a sportswear shop. People browsing for bargains on the busy shopping street in Auckland, New Zealand, were bombarded by the graphic videos for hours after hackers took over the promotional screen above the doors. It took until 10 a.m. for staff of the shop on Shortland Street to regain control and shut down the explicit film. Among those who passed by and witnessed the stuff were young children. And that's not funny, of course. Tanya Lee told the New Zealand Herald newspaper that she was on her way to breakfast with her 7-year-old son when they could not help but notice the video. I took a second look because I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, she said. It's totally inappropriate and offensive, not something that you want kids exposed to. And it's also embarrassing for Auckland as a tourist destination. But others stopped to watch the sex tape as it played, a security guard said. Of course, bunch of dudes hovering about, hands in their pockets. Some of them hands in each other's pockets, probably. Dwayne, it's 2019, folks. Relax. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just saying. Dwayne Hinangano told the newspaper the video was playing for almost 2 hours in total. The video ran for a long time, maybe 2 hours from 8 a.m. until the shop staff arrived at about 10 a.m. Some people were shocked, but others just stopped and watched. An A6 spokesman confirmed the embarrassing incident was the result of a cyber attack and apologized to anyone who had caught sight of the graphic images. Okay. It's pretty crazy. Frightening looking mask. Angry Trump. Aaron Carter debuts huge face tattoo amid family drama. The tattoo, I think there's a better shot here. Despite major family controversy, Aaron Carter debuted a massive face tattoo on Saturday. Aaron Carter, this kid, he's Nick Carter's brother. Nick Carter he's an NSYNC, I believe. It's NSYNC. And this Aaron Carter is always out there doing something wacky. Seems like he's always getting in some trouble or doing something weird or saying something strange or getting in a rehab or something. But just and he had a short-lived career as a kind of a pop singer, a pop star. But since then, it didn't really keep going for him, and he just kind of gets in trouble, and kind of does weird stuff. Anyway, this face tattoo is kind of crazy. That's why I wanted to look at this. In one of two pics of the tat, Carter 31 admired his new facial ink in the mirror while sporting some new bling. At Johnny Denga, whatever, you're the greatest in the game. Everyone needs to know, and that they will after this piece, he wrote, thanking the jeweler. In another photo, Carter removed his shirt while declaring himself, the biggest thing in music right now. I can't be denied. Fact check me. The new ink and bling come amid family drama for the performer, as he recently claimed his deceased sister molested him as a child. His older brother, Nick Carter, 39, and twin sister Angel have also taken a restraining order out against him after claiming the Sooner or Later artist confessed to harboring intentions of Kill-ing his pregnant wife and unborn child. On Friday, Aaron tweeted, I will be showing up to court for my sister, Angel's case against me, but I will not be going for my brother, Nick. I don't care if he has a restraining order against me. I will never see or speak to him again or the rest of my family. On a lighter note for the Carter family, the Backstreet Boy shared an adorable photo with his son, Odin. Anyway, I was hoping I could get a better picture of that. There it is. I thought it was kind of crazy, kind of spooky, kind of scary. Oh, if you didn't know, I don't know if you see that on screen or not, that pop-up, but if you didn't know, I actually have an Instagram. I haven't put anything up there lately, but, just spreading out the social media seeds, if you will. And I've got so many other things I'm working on right now. I've got, of course, videos and some live broadcasts I want to do, but I've got a surprise. I still can't tell you what it is, but it should be coming up soon. It's a new project, so we'll see when that comes together. Anyway, I do have an Instagram, so if you want to check that out. I don't know. I thought this might be interesting. It looked like a weird kind of a Jesus type thing on his face. I'm not sure what that is. It kind of looks like Jesus. I don't know. What does he say it is? Oh, he doesn't say. He just says that he is the biggest thing in music right now. He cannot be denied. Fact check him with the face tattoo. So, okay, there you go. I want to share that. Turn off the ad blocker for this site here. And let's do that. I'm going to take another drink here real quick. Hope y'all are doing all right out there. Thanks again for being here tonight. Hope you're doing good. Just hanging out, right? There's no pressure. Just hanging out. We're looking at things together. Some of it good. Some of it awesome. Some of it weird. Some a little strange. Some pretty cool. And then some just random. All right. Well, the world's first transgender pro boxer is now the face of iconic boxing brand Everlast. Here's how he did it. Whoa. Wow. It's crazy. This used to be a female. Honk, honk. It really is incredible, though. And that's not even trying to be snarky. It's incredible, the transformations some of these people make. Female to male, male to female. Some of them, and we've seen them on some of these stories, would never know. You would never know. At the age of 34, Patricio Manuel has already made history twice. On December 12th, 2018, he became the world's first trans boxer to compete in a professional fight, and he came away with a win to boot. On September 26th, he made history again when iconic boxing brand Everlast named him the face of its company, a position previously held by boxing legends Jack Dempsey, Sugar Ray Robinson, and Canelo Alvarez. Everlast, which launched in 1910, is the world's leading manufacturer and licensor of boxing, mixed martial arts, and fitness equipment. The company says Manuel is a part of its new crop of trailblazers, which also includes an amputee fighter and a family of immigrants from Mexico who are amateur boxers. It's clown world, though. It really is. It's clown world. At the same time, I don't mean to sound selfish, but I'm grateful I've never had to carry that burden in particular. Because we all have our burdens. I don't want to call them demons. We all have our temptations, our burdens, things that you give into more than other things that you know you shouldn't. I mean, we all have our battles, but man, when it comes to the people that battle with feeling like they're in the wrong body, not to sound selfish, but I am so grateful that I've never personally had that particular battle. I can only imagine how incredibly difficult that is, right? It's still a sign of the times. It really is a sign of the times as well. This is, we're seeing the new humanity, and a bit of it. The new human, the ultimate God-man that they're trying to create will be connected to the internet and artificial intelligence. We're all going to be lawnmower man. Freddie McConnell, transgender man. Have you ever seen, sorry, I'm just going to stop for a second here. Have you guys ever seen The Lawnmower Man, the movie with Jeff Fahey as the titular character? Is it titular? As the main character, Jeff Fahey did a great job. He was always kind of a B movie kind of an actor guy, and I've always been kind of a movie geek, again, sci-fi horror stuff. So I remember these names and stuff these people have been in. But The Lawnmower Man was a movie based off a Stephen King story. And there's a sequence in there that just always stayed in my mind forever. It haunted me. It was one of the freakiest punishments ever to me. It was just crazy the way they made it. I'll go ahead and tell you what it is. It's okay. Because there's a lot of weird stuff in Lawnmower Man. It's about a guy that gets connected to AI, and he becomes the God Man. It's in fact, it's really worth a watch because a lot of it mirrors exactly what's happening today. This was made many years ago. Lawnmower Man becomes this kind of AI type God, but in this, he gets revenge on this one guy, and all he does is, it's like, I can't remember the lead up, but you just see this guy that had bullied him before that he really didn't like when he was weaker. He was like this. He was a lawnmower man. He's like, hey, do you need your lawn mowed? He was one of these kind of guys. Then he gets hooked up with the AI and becomes a genius, right? Then he just kind of grows and then gets into the internet and stuff. So he punishes this guy, and all you see, basically, the dude's just sitting there. He's got this dumb look on his face, mouth open like, oh, eyes just kind of, floating around, just looks completely dumb. And then it goes inside of his mind, and in his mind, all he sees is Lawnmower Man, which is just this, it's kind of him. It's like the character, it's got eyes and stuff, kind of a big face, but its mouth is a lawnmower, and it's slowly mowing over this guy's brain, digitally. But you see it literally affecting the guy, but going, oh, and just getting his brain digitally destroyed and eaten by this AI God, little g, in just the most sinister kind of a way. It just always stood out to me, It's like, wow, what a terrible way to go, Anyway, Freddie McConnell, transgender man who gave birth, cannot be named child's father. How about that segue? I'm really into the harsh segue. Usually no segue. I'll tell you a story about puppies and kittens. Next thing you know, these couples were kissing and they fell off a cliff. We go the hard segue. It keeps you awake. Snap out of it. Keeps you on your toes. Freddie McConnell, transgender man who gave birth, cannot be named child's father. The 32-year-old was legally recognized as a man and had been living as a male for years when he gave birth in 2018. Honk, honk. Freddie McConnell, 32, was legally recognized as a man and had been living as a male for years when he gave birth in 2018. Currently, the person to carry and deliver a child is always registered as the child's mother, even in cases of surrogacy. Mr. McConnell, a journalist who works for The Guardian, wants to be registered as father or parent. He took legal action against the General Register Office, which administers the registration of births and deaths in England and Wales. His legal team argued that the UK system of birth registration does not treat families equally, and that being registered as, quote, mother infringed both his and his child's human rights. If he had won the case, it could have paved the way for gender-neutral birth certificates, and his child would have been the first in the UK to have no, quote, mother on official registration documents. The times they are a-changin', aren't they, huh? Honk, honk. Cops find 11-year-old boy who drove 200 miles to see man he met on Snapchat. Let's read that again. Cops find 11-year-old boy who drove 200 miles to see a man that he met on Snapchat. Buckle up, parents. I think this is going to be a bumpy ride. An 11-year-old boy drove we got that. The boy took his brother's car and drove from the city of Simpsonville, South Carolina, across the state for about 3.5 hours before he reached Charleston at about 12:30 a.m. He was reportedly using a tablet to direct him to the address where he was planning on meeting the man, but got lost when his GPS signal dropped out. The boy was rescued by a police officer when he pulled into a parking lot next to the cop, according to the report. This kid drove 3.5 hours by himself at night on the interstate. Can you imagine? Police spokesman Charles Francis told the Post. God was by his side. The boy planned to live with an, quote, unknown male he met on Snapchat. according to the report. Wow, right? That is creepers. Sad, creepy, because I wonder what this kid's home life must be like if he would go out of his way to do this. What's happening at home, you know? Did you see that? Baby born with 4 legs and 3 hands. Wow. Dang. What do you think? One triplet came out fine, the other 2 conjoined. An Indian woman has given birth to a girl with 4 legs and 3 hands, in what doctors believe to be the first case of 2 naturally born triplets being conjoined. The male child is normal, but the female is a case of conjoined twins. Meena helped mom Raju Gurjar, 24, give birth in a Tonk, Rakistan hospital on Friday. Tonk. I love that. That'd be kind of a cool name for a little boy. If you had a kid, he's a little boy. Hey, KJ, what's your kid's name? Tonk. What? Tonk. Okay. I like that name, Tonk, for a little boy, don't you think? Give birth in a Tonk hospital on Friday. The children were born at 2:46 a.m. and Okay. See if everything worked out for the kids. In July, conjoined twin girls were born sharing the same heart in India, and a 2-year-old Pakistani twins joined at the head were successfully separated at a London hospital. Last month, the 3-year-old conjoined twins were also separated successfully. So it looks like the kids maybe turned out okay. Everything worked out okay. That's good. It's good, and there you go. There you have it. Thousands of deaths linked to drugs used as puberty blockers for gender-confused kids. September 24th, 2019, UK National Health Service is investigating drugs that are used to block normal sexual development among children and teens who are transitioning to the opposite sex, that when used in other applications have been linked to 6,000 deaths. The drugs in question are used to lower the levels of testosterone and estrogen, which are the building blocks of sexual development and sexual function. The use of these drugs in other areas of medicine to combat prostate cancer, for instance, has been associated with serious medical conditions, including cases of nervous system and psychiatric disorders, heart failure, seizure, joint pain, bone deterioration, and dozens of other adverse events. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration listed over 41,000 adverse reactions between 2004 and 2019 associated with Leuprolide, which includes Lupron and similar drugs used by gender clinics. Almost 26,000 of these were classified as serious cases, which included over 6,000 deaths. The FDA indicated that among 3 17-year-olds who had taken Leuprolide for various medical conditions, there were reported almost 1,500 adverse reactions, with over 700 being serious, and of those 11 resulting in death. Okay. There we go. Not good. Point of the story is these children aren't meant to be doing that, right? It's not good for them.
Newly released surveillance video of a frightening.
This one's wild, man. Sheesh. Any of you have any from your childhood crazy bus driver stories? I got a couple. This is a crazy bus driver story right here. Check this out.
Bus ride home from school. The video showing the driver yelling The children screaming about the way she was driving. They believe she was drunk, and one boy calling 911. Here's ABC's Kana Whitworth.
Tonight, the bus driver heard in this newly released surveillance video,
I yell and scream, "Ah!"
is out of a job. Children on this bus say it was a terrifying ride home. Police say Longview, Washington school bus driver Catherine Macaron was drunk behind the wheel.
I love life!
And that 48-year-old Macaron was yelling incoherently on and off even before she picked up children.
My marriage sucks, and my husband is a son of a gun.
One of the scared students on board calling 911 after getting off the bus.
The bus driver, Catherine, she was drunk. She passed 3 red lights.
Police tracking her down, charging her with DUI and reckless endangerment. David, Macaron pleaded not guilty to the DUI charge and told police she takes both sleep and anxiety medication, and she says she did not run those red lights. She has since resigned from her job. David.
There you go. But yeah, do you have any crazy bus driver stories? You're a kid? Anybody? Feel free to share. Absolute Queen rocks gown as he's crowned high school homecoming royalty. Again, guys, just we know the agenda's there, but I think it's important to keep this stuff current, you know, for the select very few people who will bitch about this stuff. And I'll get that. Why do you always have to show that? And it's like, do you know where you are? Do you know who I am and what channel this is? I mean, this is what I do, you know, and I still believe that it matters and it's important. And I'm not the only one that does this kind of stuff. You know, there's a lot of us out there. A lot of people have their roles and trying to wake people up, if you will. You don't have to have a YouTube channel to do it. You know, plenty of people do it with their friends, family, coworkers, and everything else. You know, we're all in this together, right, guys? I'm rambling. I know. Shut up, KJ. You're always rambling, they say. Hey, well, why don't you come here and say hello? Did you hear Chubbs? You might have. Hi. What's up? You can never get him to talk when he's up here in front of the microphone. No? Okay. See you later. Thanks for dropping by. Absolute Queen rocks gown as he's crowned high school homecoming royalty. Memphis, Tennessee high school student Brandon Allen gives the title of homecoming queen new meaning. The White Station High School senior was crowned homecoming royalty on Friday night and accepted his title in a fabulous gold sequin gown. This stuff is celebrated now, you see. This is what it is. This is a celebratory article. We're so proud. He's so brave. But in the way I see the world, the way I frame this is, you're encouraging this guy to perish. You're encouraging these people to be proud of their sin, openly proclaiming their sin, you know, to be proud. To be proud of this, to be proud of, you know, of being an abomination, you know, being involved in some of this kind of stuff, man. I know that sounds rough. Again, I know I've got friends out here that are gay and listen as well. And it's always such a delicate subject for me, you know. All I say is I always just go back to what the Bible says about everything. So when it comes to sin, it's all equal. You know, I don't sit here and hold one over the other. I see that a lot on the channel towards me and even towards other people commenting in the channels. I see people fight and bicker and point fingers, and I'm more righteous than you. You know, they may not say that, but they're acting like it. I always stay more focused on my walk the best I can. I look at my relationship with God as a child. I try to keep it very simple. That's why I'm not great at quoting the Bible, and I'm not good at leading Bible studies and stuff. It's just not the way my head works, you know. But I'm always in conversation with God every day, every night. It's always there. It's my friend. It's my best friend. Hi, Chubbs. I think everyone just heard you. I said he was my best friend, and Chubbs jumps over here and he has to pipe up. Did you see that? That's right. Anyway, thanks, Chubbs. You got me out of a corner there. So, but anyway, we know this is happening. Look, love everyone. We love everybody. Okay. And I'm not here to point fingers at people for their sins. That's not what I try to do here. I worry about my own stuff, and there's enough stuff I'm working on all the time to set straight, and I'm doing it for good reason. I'm not doing it because I'm scared God's going to be mad at me and stuff. I'm doing it because I'm so grateful for everything God's given me. That's what helps me give stuff up that are, quote, sins. That's what helps me get closer to God and try to erase some of these things out of my life. However, there's a couple things that are in my life that are very, very difficult to give up. We all have these things, and we all have our walk and our battle. So again, not sitting here passing judgment or whatever, et cetera, in that way. But we're living in clown world. Honk, honk. Brain chip created for U.S. soldiers to take out enemies with their minds. American scientists have developed a new brain-computer interface strip. A groundbreaking device has been created that could allow soldiers to control military equipment and vehicles with just their thoughts. Scientists from several universities in the U.S. have created a new brain-computer interface strip. The device is connected to the upper neck, picks up on brain signals, and converts them to digital information. These signals could be used to steer vehicle or control other computers. Typically, these devices need to be connected to other machines and often require conductive jelly to work. Look at that. It's one of those tattoos. We're just talking about those, right? Those tattoos for connectivity. Now we're seeing it in the story right here. It's on the upper neck. It's that tattoo this is the exact same tattoo that Regina Dugan from DARPA, also from Google, is talking about is going to be our future. And now we're seeing it at work in the military. No surprise there, right? Especially since DARPA. So it'll start with military. It's a military application, and then they perfect it to whatever point they want to get it to, and that's how they eventually get it out to the public, right? Woon-Hong Yo, a researcher of the Georgia Institute of Technology, told Defense One, "We demonstrated that this portable, flexible, wearable system can control an electric wheelchair, minicar, and a software presentation. The strip has been designed for people without mobility, but it could have much wider implications." He added, "The system can be used for controlling other devices, including military equipment." Hey, yeah, don't leave that out. That's pretty important. It says, oh, yeah, hey, Joe added, hey, the system can be used for controlling other devices, including military equipment. It's just whatever, right? It's no big deal. No big deal. You'll be able to control these things with your mind someday. It's going to be insane. The paper appears in the current issue of journal Nature Machine Intelligence. Nature Machine Intelligence. Okay, there we go. There it is. We were just talking about that. Australian state passes bill allowing that really bad operation up to birth. Pro-operation politicians hug and cheer. So the pro people that are for the taking of the lives of these little babies, they hug and cheer. Is there a video? No. Okay. I don't really want to read a whole lot, but I think we get it. It's a spirit. It's an antichrist spirit, what I see when I see that. Elizabeth Warren says taxpayers must fund sex reassignment surgery, so that's important. She'd very well be your next president, guys. They're going to get rid of Trump, okay? He's going to be out on his ass here real soon. Just kidding. It's a fascinating thing to watch, isn't it? This whole deal. Wow, it's crazy. But that goes back to the nihilism. It goes back to the video I just made on Joker and the Rise of the Nihilists. I mean, it's very nihilistic. The attitude the left in America is taking towards the president is full-on nihilism. They'll stop at nothing at this point. I mean, just random charges and They're literally accusing him of exactly what Joe Biden did, and there's proof of it. And that's right out of Rules for Radicals, the Saul Alinsky book, if you know who that is, who originally thanked Lucifer in that book, I believe. Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. Real popular book with a lot of these people who, Obama's team, basically. And that's one of the things they do. So they'll literally blame you in public for the things they've been doing. I mean, it's just really nasty. These are nasty tactics these people are using. And we're seeing it here on the world stage. It's insane. People from other countries, guys, because I know there's some of you are out there that listen to the show, and you're probably listening right now. So I'm speaking to you. If you're listening right now and you're from any other country than America, I'm really curious about the coverage that you're seeing. I'm really curious about how your countries are portraying what's happening in America with our politics. Are you seeing all the crazy stuff that's happening with Trump and all the the Senate or the Congress? Mainly it's the Congress. You seeing all this crazy stuff that's happening in Washington, D.C.? And how does that make you think of America? How is America being, how are you receiving America? How are you looking at us now, those of you from other countries, with what's happening with our politics? Does it seem like it's all going crazy? Because it seems like it's going crazy over here. But I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. Anyway, this lady's a bit of a loon herself. She's the one that was there. Trump calls Pocahontas. She's always talked about being an Indian. Anyway, this one's kind of funny. Kim Kardashian and Kendall Jenner get laughed at the 2019 Emmys, but then I'm going to tell you something else I think we're seeing here. Come here. Come on. All right. So check this out. Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, 2019 Emmys presentation. Check this out. Well, hi, Chubbs. Give me some time, all right? It's getting fussy. Gotta love that, though. Okay.
Our family, here are the nominees for Outstanding Competition Series.
I have to wonder if they're even in on that. Like, I mean, most people would think they're not. I'm saying Kim Kardashian and her sister, you have to wonder if they realize how obviously dumb that statement is, considering who they are and what they do. But then again, maybe not. I don't know. But my other thought about this when I first saw that is I wonder if this connects back to Kanye, because if Kanye is truly sold out to Christ, right? And God knows, and Christ knows. So, I mean, if he's truly sold out to Christ, then as we all know that do follow Christ, it's not always easy, right? That oftentimes there's battles, and that's just the way it is. We were never promised, the yellow brick road, so to speak, an easy path. So there's going to be some battles. So that'd be interesting, because if he's really for Christ, really for God at this point, then, you would think that we're going to start seeing maybe some, people turning on him. He's going to get some kind of negative feedback. It's going to have to be some kind of trials and temptations, or not temptations, trials, even though I know he's been through plenty of trials already. But I don't know, man. He's an interesting character, that's for sure. I'm always interested to see news on Kanye. I'm not into his music at all, but it's just who he is and the stuff he does. He's a very interesting character to me, man. You should watch his interview with, it's on Netflix. Was it with David Letterman? I think it was, yeah. Watch him with David Letterman, Kanye. And I thought that was a really interesting interview there. Yes, I know he was used by the system. He's promoted a lot of terrible things. He's even has compared himself to Jesus by calling him himself Jesus for so long. And again, that's why I'm wondering if all of this hopefully is a good thing and really for God, or not portraying himself as a God, right? So we'll see. So while we're on the Emmys, this one's pretty funny right here too. Thomas Lennon tells it like it is. Emmys 2019. This is really funny. Thomas Lennon's a comedian. He was in, I'm trying to think. He's been in all kinds of movies and TV shows, but he was with Upright Citizens Brigade. I think that's where he got his start. But he was also on Reno 911 as Lieutenant Dangle, I think was his name. He was kind of one of the main characters on Reno 911. That's probably where most people would know him. She's a comedian who's been in a lot of stuff. But anyway, I guess he hosted the Emmys this year, and just check out what he said. And this is actually happened. It was live, and I did think this was funny.
To see if history was made with the first female or black. This is why people don't.
You gotta love that. Are the Emmys woke, or is it? This is why people don't do this, because it sucks. And the Emmys does have a bad reputation in that respect, right? Nobody wants to host the Emmys. 500 scientists write UN, there is no climate emergency. More than 500 scientists and professionals in climate and related fields have sent a European climate declaration to the Secretary General of the United Nations asking for a long overdue high-level open debate on climate change. This is good news. Just as 16-year-old Swedish climate activist Greta addressed the UN Climate Action Summit in New York accusing world leaders of robbing her of her future, scientists were begging the UN to keep hysteria from obscuring facts. Climate science should be less political, while climate policies should be more scientific, the declaration states. Scientists should openly address the uncertainties and exaggerations in their predictions of global warming, while politicians should dispassionately count the real benefits as well as the imagined costs of adaptation to global warming, and the real costs as well as the imagined benefits of mitigation. The scientists underscored the importance of not rushing into enormously expensive climate action before fully ascertaining the facts. There is no statistical evidence that global warming is intensifying hurricanes, floods, droughts, and such like natural disasters or making them more frequent, they declared. However, CO2 mitigation measures are as damaging as they are costly. For instance, wind turbines kill birds and bats, and palm oil plantations destroy the biodiversity of the rainforests. All right, we get it. Cool. Cool. Good. It's an info war, they say. Mattel launches a gender-neutral doll. One of the world's biggest toy companies has launched gender-inclusive doll. Mattel say the Creatable World doll has been designed to be styled with short or long hair or in a skirt, trousers, or both. They say the dolls represent anyone outside of the traditional genders of male and female. It really is a shame that so many of these companies and these people are getting away with stuff like this, targeting your children. It's disgusting. It's sick. Every time I see a story like this, I picture that satanic temple statue of Baphomet with the little boy on one side and the little girl on the other, because that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that manifest in stories like this. It's really sick. Shame on these people. Get them while they're young, they say. Smartphones, computers, creating generation of prawn addicts. Some states call it a public health emergency. Let's check this out.
To raise awareness on the top. Quick, then I'm going to do it. And so I started speaking.
So the topic, that young man says he got addicted to pornography in elementary school. And tonight he is speaking out about the very serious health problems it has caused him. I-Team investigator Ginger Allen digs into why more than a dozen states have now deemed pornography a public health crisis. Fair warning up front, some of the content in this story tends with adult issues.
We had cable TV, so I would stay up late at night.
Gabe Dean says he encountered pornography before he ever lost all his teeth.
Things really got bad when I was 12, and that's when my family got high-speed internet.
And he says things got even worse with the launch of YouTube, the iPhone, and endless mobile devices.
I was into basketball, I was really social, and I always had a real-life girlfriend, but video games, social media, and internet porn kind of rewired me. So I would ride my bike home from school around the age of 12 and watch internet porn for sometimes 2 to 3 hours a day.
Did your parents have any idea?
No clue.
The I-Team found studies showing children are typically first exposed to pornography at age 13. One report finds 67% of male teenagers and young adults and 33% of female teenagers and young adults seek out porn daily, weekly, or monthly. Dean calls it an addiction, one so strong he craved a screen or pixels, not people. By the time he was 23, he says he suffered from physical side effects, erectile dysfunction, and mental problems.
You see an increase in social anxiety, maybe poor working memory, and brain fog. So that started happening to me.
Scared he'd never be the same, Dean turned to internet forums, where he discovered he was not alone. He found other addicts talking about anxiety, depression, poor academic performance, unhealthy relationships, even suicide.
I was ready for suicide. Gun was in my hand and loaded 8 months ago.
This is a 43-year-old married policeman who considered taking his life because the addiction had destroyed it. Today, Dean runs his own recovery site, chatting with 13,000 members who share their stories. Do you call it a public health crisis?
I definitely call it a public health issue.
Nearly a dozen states agree. They've passed health bills deeming pornography an epidemic that is harming people. Earlier this year, Texas Representative Valerie Swanson tried to get it passed here, citing the detrimental health effects.
Pornography has been affirmed as a public health crisis in several other states.
But it did not get out of committee. Dean says if you think you are blocking adult content from your children with parental controls, think again.
In middle school, my friends and I would pass pieces of paper back and forth, giving each other tips and tricks of how to hide it from our parents and where we could go to download free content.
Rather than telling you how our children are getting around those parental controls, we feel safer sharing some of the secrets our experts passed along. Check normal icons such as calculators on devices to make sure content is not hidden underneath. Pay attention to social.
I realized shortly after I started this that we watched this one last week, but I still wanted to watch some of the beginning anyway, because it's really important. And, this is something, on the personal level, this is just, let's keep this just between me and you. All right. Let's not tell everybody else. But as far as things we have to struggle with and all that, that was one for me for most of my adult life. It's been, really, ever since I got my first computer, and that was when I was in the military still. In fact, that's when I was working at Yorktown, Virginia. It's a long time ago, but I was out there and I bought my first computer on base. They have these VXs or whatever they have. I can't remember what they're called now, but they have these great, there's no taxes, it's always cheap. Get anything you want on base. So I got my first computer for just a few $100. It wasn't that much. And, I found that stuff. I found PORN and fell into the rabbit hole there. And that one had its hooks in me off and on, like I said, my whole adult life. I had to really seriously start looking at it about 4 years ago or so. I think it's when I really started having to really take a look at it and realize, that it had been a continuing thing for a long time. Sometimes you'd go a few months, but then it always comes back and you fight it off all the time. I was always praying about it, always trying to give it to God and just get away from it. I'd do good sometimes for several months, and then something would just trigger you. You'd see a commercial or whatever. That's why you have to be careful what you look at and what you watch, in the first place. And I didn't watch anything overtly sexual or whatever, but it's hard to avoid that because it's everywhere. Commercials, TV shows, movies, of course. It's news, Fox News. To me, Fox News, most of these women are just, they're beautiful. When you watch Fox News, to me, most of these women are absolutely physically, they're beautiful. And it's interesting the way they frame them up, because I'll always have a couple of them sitting profile, one left, one right, but always sitting profile and, showing off their figure. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, the way they set all this kind of stuff up or whatever. And everything's sexualized, in its own way. You don't really see that kind of thing on MSNBC and CNN and stuff like this, because nobody really cares about Rachel Maddow's profile, as much as some of these girls on Fox News and stuff. And I'm not knocking it. All for a beautiful lady for sure. But it's interesting that it's also kind of reminds me of an Illuminati card that shows, it calls them like the news bimbos or something. And you can look that up. There's an Illuminati card for that called, it literally, I think it's like bimbos at 11 or something like this, but it shows women with, really pretty ladies, lots of makeup and big boobies or something. But that's just from my memory from a long time ago. Of course, you remember the big boobies. I'm a man, guys. I'm sorry. I've been programmed a certain way. And again, I do struggle and fight with that, but not as much now. I've done very well over the last years and stuff. But that was always a tough one, So, but we always have something we have to fight with, right? Grapple with. So here's, we had the other homecoming queen story, but this right here, these are the kind of homecoming queen stories I like. Let's check this one out. When the SNS High School homecoming queen winner was announced, Trinity Arrington was shocked to hear her name. Arrington, a senior at the Sadler, Texas school, walked across the field to get her crown, but she decided it actually belonged to someone else. So she handed it to another girl, her classmate, Emily Petty, who has Down syndrome. I didn't think I was going to win. I told everyone that asked me if I wanted to win that I wanted Emily to win, so I told them to vote for her. Both girls were nominated for the high school honor, but Arrington ultimately won. However, she wanted Petty to share the spotlight. I decided to give my crown to my sweet friend Emily because she's always wanted to be a princess, so I decided she deserved it. Video from the homecoming game shows the two girls walking hand in hand down the field. Glittering crown sits atop Petty's head. The teens met a year ago when Arrington started eating lunch in the special education classroom and befriended Petty. I love her every day, Petty said, holding her friend's hands as they spoke. Arrington said she cried when she handed her friend the crown, and Petty assured her she shouldn't cry. I want to see some pictures here. I'm guessing this is one of those where I have to pause on this site. And then there we go. Now we got some pictures. Now we're in action. Here's the ladies. That's sweet, man. Oh. See, I like these. These are good stories. That's a happy story. That's a doom break. There's your doom break. Okay, this is kind of a weird news story. We love our weird news stories. Check this out.
Are the things men often use to relieve themselves in the bathroom. They come in lots of sizes and shapes, and you can find one in just about any men's restroom. But not in the Portland building, not when it reopens. The city has redesigned all the bathrooms to be gender neutral, which means urinals are banned even in the men's room. Conservative talk show host Lars Larson first told me about the change. He is outraged.
I think it's ridiculous. First of all, I know that it already makes a lot of people uncomfortable. All right. Secondly, it's going to take up a lot more space. And third, anyone who's ever been to any public event, have you seen the line at the ladies' room? Do you see any line at the men's room?
He's not alone in that opinion.
I think it's kind of ridiculous. After all, what are they going to do? Go make everything just one thing?
Actually, yes. The building's first, third, and 15th floors will have large multi-stall bathrooms that men and women will use together. Other floors will have separate men's and women's bathrooms. But every floor will also have at least one any gender bathroom. Gender in bathroom use has been a big deal when it comes to those who are transgender or gender fluid. But the city made no mention of that in an email to employees. The chief administrative officer wrote that the gender-neutral bathrooms are, quote, the right way to ensure success as your employer and remove arbitrary barriers in our community. And some I met on the street today agree.
It's Portland, so something new, something different. Makes sense.
Well, this topic has sparked quite a debate on my KGW Facebook page. Jason writes in, regardless of any social sensitivity, gender-neutral bathrooms are just a better design and more convenient. On the other hand, David writes, but this has disaster written all over it. Sorry. I'd love to see what you think. Go.
Well, I don't know. On one of these kind of stories, what do you guys think about that? Because, I don't like, of course, I don't like the agenda. I don't like the kind of trans agenda, the Baphomet kind of agenda we're seeing unfold in this beast system. I don't like that. But, if they wanted to make all men's room have all stalls, I'd be cool with that. Honestly, urinals, they always sketch me out. You know what I mean? It's just kind of a weird situation. I've always felt that way. I've always felt it just feels sketchy. You know what I mean? It's like you're standing just side by side, and I don't know. It's just weird to me. I don't like it. I never liked it, especially the trough. You dudes ever TT'd in a trough? No thanks. I'll pass on the trough. Back in the day, I've been to some bars, and, a lot of these bars would have a trough. A bunch of dudes just standing next to each other, wobbling around drunk and trying to aim and TT in a trough. I don't like it. I'm a private kind of a guy, Leave me alone. Mexico planned summit of all Spanish-speaking nations to discuss problem of American white supremacy. Is this why we get so many promises and so little actual help in securing our southern border? Are the Mexicans actually trying to assist in our invasion? The conspiracy theorist might claim that Mexico is complicit in trying to flood America with people of Hispanic descent and reclaim what they may feel is rightfully theirs. Mexico City. Alarmed by the rise of hate crime in the U.S., Mexico is calling for a summit of leaders from Spanish-speaking nations to develop a strategy to combat white supremacy. Roberto Velasco Alvarez, spokesman for Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard, said the Mexican government has already reached out to key ambassadors posted in Mexico and hopes to hold the summit in Mexico City by the end of the year, in which leaders would draft a policy position based on discussions highlighting political and cultural values. If white supremacists are calling for hatred, racial divisions, what is our response? We have to define our response, defend our culture, language, civilization, our existence, Velasco said. Isn't it interesting seeing how all of these things are happening? It's interesting. White supremacy. It's interesting, huh? The summit, the world's looking for a hero. The world needs a hero, right? Setting it up. The world's looking for a savior. If white supremacists are calling for hatred, racial divisions, okay, we got that. The summit, still in its preliminary stages, would involve leaders from Latin America, Spain, and Portugal, and include key Mexican-American political and cultural actors, including Texas, said Velasco. Patrick Crusius, 21, drove from his native North Texas to El Paso. Yeah, we know what he did. Boom, boom, bad, right? This is how I have to talk now. Patrick C. did boom, boom, bad. Or did he, for some of you in the audience? 8 of the fatalities were Mexican nationals, prompting the government of Mexico's president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, to demand Mexico be included in the investigation. Okay, whatever. Says the Mexicans are obviously being influenced by liberal media and politicians, and how in the world would they propose battling this mythical problem of white supremacy from behind their government desks in Mexico? Why aren't they talking about the problems with black crime in America? This person says. This is from DCDirtyLaundry.com. A man that could prove to be the most prolific serial killer in world history illegally came from Kenya to America. All right. What's that? Ever heard of Adslan? The myth of Adslan can best be explained by California's Santa Barbara School District's Chicano Studies textbook, The Mexican-American Heritage by East Los Angeles High School teacher Carlos Jimenez. On page 84, there is a redrawn map of Mexico and the United States, showing Mexico with full 1/3 more territory, all of it taken back from the United States. On page 107, it says, Latinos are now realizing that the power to control Aztlan may once again be in their hands. Shown are the repatriated 8 or 9 states, including Colorado, California, Arizona, Texas, Utah, New Mexico, Oregon, and parts of Washington. According to the school text, Mexico is supposed to regain these territories as they rightly belong to the, quote, mythical homeland of Aztlan. On page 86, it says a free trade agreement promises if Mexico is allowed the U.S. to invest in Mexico, then Mexico should be allowed to freely export Mexican labor. Obviously, this would mean a reevaluation of the border between the two countries as we know it today. Jimenez's Aztlan myth is further amplified at Mecca Club meetings held at Santa Barbara Public Schools. The book, paid for by American taxpayers, cites no references or footnotes, leaving school children totally dependent on their teacher to separate fact from opinion and political propaganda. The book teaches separatism, victimization, nationalism, completely lacks patriotism towards the United States, and promotes an open border policy. The book is 100% editorial, the opinions of the author. How is it that those who cross our southern border can travel hundreds of miles without being stopped and detained in Mexico? How is it that they somehow illegally cross into Mexican territory without being arrested? Why does Mexico allow them to continue north so they can become our problem? These are legitimate questions. And now that Mexico is calling upon all other Spanish-speaking nations, including Spain and Portugal, to meet and talk about American white supremacy, it does make me wonder, is this whole southern border problem really about a proud people who are trying to reclaim what they feel is rightfully theirs? Why else would we get so little real help from Mexican authorities? Okay. It's a lot to take in. Download complete. Mexico plans summit of all Spanish-speaking nations to discuss problem of American white supremacy. Why haven't I heard about this in the big news? I mean, DC Dirty Laundry is a big site. And as far as I know, reliable. I've always found some good stories through them. So I'm not saying this isn't true, but maybe y'all can look it up right now if you're interested, see what you find. I'd like to find out more about this. This is something that would need national attention, I would think, right? We need to know about this. Nearly 30,000 children under age 10 have been arrested in the U.S. since 2013. The recent arrests of 2 6-year-old students in Orlando, which prompted outrage and the firing of the officer who restrained one child's hands with flex cuffs, mirrors a persistent problem confronting law enforcement in schools with thousands of children arrested annually and treated like mini adults. I can't play any of that footage, though, unfortunately. YouTube is real hardcore about that, which, I get. Anything involving a young one and any kind of violence, even if it's, jumping around and falling down on your skateboard or something. I mean, it can get really ridiculous, so you got to be careful. But I may save this for a video. Actually, I think I'm going to, because I've been working on a video about young ones and the rise of crime. So we'll just put that. I just clicked over here on my bookmark. I want to put that to the side. We'll make a video. Maybe that'll be a compilation of clips type video, because I've been finding tons of stories on the little ones, like little kids, young ones doing some really, really terrible things. A lot of it. That's one thing that happens doing these kinds of shows is I notice these trends. So do you guys. We all do. We notice different trends. I mean, the goat trend is one. You see, remember all those stories we was finding there for a while always with the goat, always. And we know what that means in context. UK school under fire for hosting a resisting whiteness event with rules discriminating against white people. The University of Edinburgh has allowed a Resisting Whiteness 2019 event to proceed at its venue even though there was outrage over organizers' rules which limited white people's access to a microphone into certain rooms. The conference, aimed at raising awareness about the importance of anti-racist action in the UK, took place at Pleasance Theatre, owned by the University of Edinburgh, Scotland, on Saturday. It was organized by a group tellingly named the Resisting Whiteness Collective, which describes itself as a not-for-profit grassroots organization of queer and trans people of color activists. It's another long title. All these long titles. While touting the event, the group said that it wants to make it as accessible as possible and therefore have free tickets available for those who would like to attend. However, it seems not everybody was welcome. The rules published on the conference's official website state that if an attendee is white, they will have no right to ask questions, at least publicly. The rule, introduced to amplify the voices of people of color, said that priority will be given to questions from people of color in the audience. I was told I'm a quarter Cherokee Indian, and I'm a white guy, but in the summer, and when I get out in the sun enough, I get really, really dark, super, super dark, like dark brown. So my thing is, I wonder if priority will be given to questions from people of color in the audience. What do you think? I wonder. If you're a white person in the audience and you still have a question after the panel has ended, please feel free to share your questions with a member of the committee or our speakers. While some argued that the attempt to muffle voices of a particular group, in this case white people, is tantamount to the racism that the collective so fervently opposes, another controversial rule sparked comparisons with segregation practices. The Safe Spaces rule states that one of the two rooms available to anyone who needs to remove themselves from the conference. Jeepers. This is real. That's the thing. Even I get shocked sometimes. I get shocked when I actually see this safe space stuff in action in an actual story. It just gives me the creeps. Can you imagine? We're Generation X. I'm Generation X, and we're a wild bunch, I'll say. No, we're not boomers. I've had some people in my comments calling me a boomer. No, I'm not that old. We're Generation X. We didn't need no safe spaces. The Braid Room is a safe space for only people of color, and the Cheviot Room is available for anyone who needs it. The controversial event was thrust into the national media spotlight earlier this week after outspoken media personality Katie Hopkins denounced the university's decision to host the gathering on Twitter. That's weird. It looks like ovaries. I guess that's supposed to be smoke, or is that supposed to be ovaries? Her tweet has opened the floodgates to similar accusations against the university, with many arguing that by throwing its weight behind the event, the school is endorsing racism. You're hosting resisting whiteness. Is that not similar to testing black or resisting blackness? One commenter asked. I'd like to object to the racist, anti-white, so-called anti-racism conference yesterday. Resisting whiteness? Seriously? Do you guys think that's okay in a majority white country? Is allowed hatred of and racism against whites going to work out well for anyone? Anyway, we get it. More of that separation. Right? Because what really connects us, again, guys, you know this. I'm no preacher, man. It took me years before I even started talking about my faith openly. I still feel shy about it because I get criticized a lot, by some of the more religious people in the audience at times. And I feel like, it was really hard for me to start praying at the end of these live shows. Even that freaks me out sometimes. It makes me feel like some people put me on the level of now he's a preacher or something. And, now we can really, watch his sins. Oh my gosh, he has an ad on a video. F him, burn the witch. Just, it's crazy. Some of the crazy backlash and negativity I get. But again, I like to focus more on the cool people, the great people out there, you guys that sub and have been friends here for so long and share, information and, engage. I mean, we've got an amazing group of people that come around here sometimes, it's fantastic. And then there's the monsters. I mean, it happens. What are you going to do? Anyway, I'm rambling about white people. And another thing about those white people, I'm going to tell you right now, if I catch those white people in my yard again, man named Sexy Vegan accused of sexually doing bad things to his dog. I remember the Dr. Phil episode of this. I actually had a Dr. Phil on the TV there in the background and saw this character on the TV, so I turned it up and see if they talk about him. Sexy Vegan may have taken his love for animals a little too literally. A California man who legally changed his name to Sexy Vegan has been charged with assaulting his dog, according to authorities. Vegan, born Hansel Marion DiBartolo III, was busted in West Hollywood on Thursday over a video he posted on social media showing inappropriate behavior with a pit bull. Detectives found a video on social media of the suspect performing an act of, what? Definitely can't say that word. 2 dogs were removed from Vegan's home by animal control officials. The 37-year-old man who was his new name, the 37-year-old man who has his new name tattooed on his face was charged with 1 misdemeanor count, each of sexual assault on an animal and posting obscene matter, according to the LA County District Attorney's Office. Another long title. Vegan pleaded not guilty Friday. He faces up to 1 year in county jail if convicted, the attorney's office said, stressing the case was still being investigated. That's how they wrote it. All right. Got it. Forever 21. These stories always creeped me out as well. I remember these being in the malls many, many moons ago. But they always gave me the creeps, the kind of people I would see in there. And no offense, ladies, some of y'all may have shopped there and stuff. I just would notice, and always gave me the willies, would seeing like mommies with young daughters going in there and then them kind of like getting matching type outfits and things like this. And I don't know, it just always felt wrong to me. I used to spend a lot of time in malls. Didn't buy a lot of stuff. Played a lot of video games. Fast fashion retailer Forever 21 filed for bankruptcy late on Sunday, joining a growing list of brick and mortar companies that have been seen sales hit by the rise of competition from online sellers like Amazon.com and the changing fashion trends dictated by millennial shoppers. Forever 21 Inc., privately held company, helped popularize trendy and cheap clothing, has fallen out of favor with shoppers in part due to other retailers like Sweden, H&M, and Spain's Zara that churn out affordable styles similar to those recently seen on designer runways. All right. I get it. I don't need to know anything else about fashion. Never a big David Bowie fan so much, but oddly, it might be odd to some of you, my favorite song he ever made is his song Fashion. You ever heard Fashion? Like that's the one song from David Bowie I always liked. But I was never a big fan of his. I was raised in the Midwest, so all of his music was played on every radio station my whole childhood, my whole life. Same with Led Zeppelin and AC/DC and stuff like that. It's like I get it. You know, I know all these songs. I've heard them a million times, but Fashion, I always liked that song, though. Mommy says I'm a girl. Dad fights to save 7-year-old son from gender transition. In October, the father of a 7-year-old boy whose mother is trying to transition him into a girl has a final chance in court to save his son. Jeff Younger has been fighting not to lose custody of his twin sons, James and Jude, while being accused of child abuse by his ex-wife, Anne Georgoulis. I guess I said that right, Georgoulis. That sounds like a Star Wars villain, doesn't it? Like a monster, the Georgoulis. Run, Luke. Why? The Georgoulis is coming. Anne Georgoulis for not treating James like a girl. All right, let's read that again quickly. Jeff Younger has been fighting not to lose custody of his twin sons, James and Jude, while being accused of child abuse by his ex-wife, Anne Georgoulis, for not treating James like a girl. On October 15th, Younger and the Georgoulis will appear in court. It will be Younger's final chance to be granted permission to treat James as a boy, something he is legally prohibited from doing right now. Younger currently has Texas standard custody of James and Jude. He sees them once a week for 2 hours, and they stay with him 2 weekends of the month. Younger is seeking a more equitable custody schedule and decision-making authority for the boy's psychological and psychiatric care. Younger notes that James presents as a girl only with his mother. LifeSite News had the opportunity to spend several hours with Younger and his twins, both of whom present as boys when they're with their dad. James presents as a boy with me, and he presents as a girl with his mom, Younger told LifeSite News. He gets dressed as a boy at his mother's home, and he comes out to me as a boy. Wait, so he gets dressed as a boy at his mother's house, and he comes out to me as a boy. I think he meant to say he gets dressed as a girl at his mother's house, maybe? I don't know. Comes out to me? I'm not sure. That means he's comfortable as a boy at his... Oh, I was wrong. Article right. He gets dressed as a boy at his mother's home, and he comes out to me as a boy. That means that he's comfortable as a boy at his mother's home. Okay, yeah. Shut up, KJ. Keep reading. All right? Pay attention. Don't snap out of it. With their father, James and Jude enjoy wrestling, plastic sword fighting, playing nature detective, and playing video games. James introduced himself to this reporter as James. He responds to James when he's called. He wears boys' clothing, and he has the energy and spirit of a young boy. You know what, guys? He just might be a boy. He just might be a boy. His favorite sport is sumo. Basically, my two boys, James is a stick and move boxer, and Jude is a wrestler. We have these padded swords, and they love to sword fight. They love to wrestle, and they wrestle so brazenly. And okay, it's fine. I don't want to hear about all that. Okay, a few hours with James and Jude show they exhibit many typically boy behaviors. They chose to play a quest-based fighting video game in Rocket League, and then opted to go outside to sword fight. James was eager to impress anyone who would watch with his fighting skills. He and Jude fought with their fake swords as any two brothers, a bit rough, not afraid to get hurt. According to Younger, Jude struggles with understanding how his brother can be a girl. Jude is very confused. This is the stuff that kind of pisses me off. You start seeing stuff like this. Again, it's with the kids, you know. It's messing with their minds. Jude is very confused. He said he struggles with honesty questions because he knows very well he is lying when he goes to his mother's house. In the shower, he has pointed at James's wiener and said, how can he be a girl? I have to tell him the court has legally prohibited me from answering that question. Yet at school and with his mother, James wants his mom to love him and presents as a girl. The Georgoulis registered James as a girl with a local elementary school when she enrolled him in kindergarten. James dresses as a girl at school. Wow, oof. Is referred to as Luna, which means moon, by the way, by his teachers and classmates, and even uses the girls' restroom. Younger notes that this was not the case when the boys attended pre-K at the Spanish schoolhouse. It does mean moon, right? I'm pretty sure. Luna is also, by the way, fun fact, one of my all-time favorite bands. Look up Luna sometime if you want to check out something. It's very easygoing music. You might like it. They don't do as much now. I think that he's moved on to some different kind of projects and stuff, but their music to me is just, wow. It's pure gold. Very original, very unique. Look up the band Luna, all right? You'll thank me later, hopefully. And also, if you're one of these extremely religious types, don't get mad at me because it's not a Christian band necessarily. Not that they're anti-Christian, they just don't talk about it at all. They're just artists, and they make great observations about life and sing really interesting songs. I'm rambling again, I know. All right. What else we got here? Luna. Younger had no way when the Jorgwulis registered James for kindergarten. Despite a court order allowing Younger a say in these decisions, the Jorgwulis did not include him. The Jorgwulis then filed for a restraining order against Younger to prohibit him from picking the boys up from school, talking to James' teachers one-on-one, or addressing James in front of his friends. Oh, wait. Up here says his coming out party was his 5th birthday party. It was the first time he ever showed up in a dress. Everyone who was in pre-K with him knew him as a boy. Wow. She initially requested Younger be blocked from coming within 500 feet of the child's school, talking to her, having any contact with any third party related to the school, taking any action to notify any third party related to the school, that the gender of Luna is different than a girl named Luna, according to court documents. I mean, this is just madness. It's insanity, right? This woman is pushing insanity. It's crazy. The court reduced the order to prevent Younger from taking any action to notify any third party related to the school that the gender of Luna, James, is different than as the child presents on a normal school day. According to court documents, the Jorgwulis has also requested the court limit the father's consecutive overnight possession of both children and or supervising father's possession if he fails to affirm Luna, enjoining non-affirming behavior, enjoining father from engaging in non-affirming behavior and or taking Luna outside the home as James, or allowing others to do so. Wow. This is intense. The Jorgwulis, a pediatrician, has been granted the sole right to manage psychiatric and psychological treatment of the twin boys. This order came as a surprise to Younger, as it was neither mentioned in court nor recommended by the custody evaluator. The Jorgwulis takes James to a homosexual counselor who has diagnosed him with gender dysphoria. Younger stated that with the counselor, who affirms that James is a girl, James has identified as a boy. Man, I don't want to read any more of this. It's super long. We get the point. It's jacked up. You pray for kids like this and for that father. Let's see. Let me go to the bottom and let's go straight to the spoilers here and see if anything happens. Oh, okay. All right, let's go ahead and pick up a little bit. Some of this sounds kind of interesting. And I want to know the fate of the Jorgwulis. It's one of the most frightening characters we've ever talked about on a KJ's What Happened show. Younger argues that the Jorgwulis' behavior throughout the entire divorce and custody proceedings has been motivated by a desire to hurt him. She does seem to take glee in the fact that I suffer whenever she does these things to James, Younger told LifeSite News. The Jorgwulis has also accused Younger of domestic violence. A jury acquitted him. Younger has one last chance to argue for custody of his son and stop 7-year-old James from undergoing gender therapy. Wow. Pray for that kid, the father. The judge who will preside over the final day in court, Judge Kim Cooks, is a self-proclaimed defender of the family. Her Instagram profile states, Judge of the 255th Family Court, re-elect Judge Cooks for fairness. That is a long title again. Like I got to take a drink here. Hold on. I'm not even kidding. These long titles. Okay. That'll work. It's bleach, by the way. Just kidding. All right. I think we're good on that. Oh, this is nuts. I bet a lot of y'all saw this. This one went pretty viral, I believe. This is Antifa protesters harassing a senior woman in her walker outside of an event. This lady wasn't even a part. This lady wasn't even a part of anything. She was just passing through, and look what these people do to her. Beautiful, huh? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Remember those, story like in the 50s, a lot of times in movies and TV shows, 50s and 60s, you'd always see somebody helping the old lady across the road, the older lady, usually a young man, a young gentleman, would help the senior citizen, the elderly lady, to cross the road. You've seen that. It's a trope. We've seen it a million times, but it's a reality. It's a real thing. We've actually seen, we did a few stories on here where people were doing it in real life. Unfortunately, that makes news. It's shocking to people now. It's like, oh, whoa, wait, what? They're not just sitting there with their camera phone, recording this. Like somebody's getting involved and doing something, and it's something nice. Wow. What a weird concept. Anyway. Here's one of those trends. Let's see if it's going to let me. Well, it's not going to let me read the whole thing, but it's women win big. Colorado City drops ban on the bra or whatever, I believe. I think they can go shirtless or something now. Wait, let's see here. There's a reason I'm going to show you this. There's no nudity. Relax. All right, hold on. Relax, fellas. All right. Here we go. Topless women win big as Colorado City drops ban. Fort Collins, Colorado. I've got a Fort Collins story, by the way. I can't tell it tonight. It'd take too long. But sometime we'll have to talk about it. I know I probably told it on my old Catching Up with KJ shows. It's a long story, but it's a fun story time. Fort Collins, Colorado. I liked it. I liked the place. It was interesting. Had some adventures there. So Fort Collins has decided it's not worth the money to fight for its ordinance banning women from appearing topless in public. It's a victory for Free the Nipple, a global movement seeking equal treatment for women. In February, when it was cold enough that few would want to go out topless in the community north of Denver, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a federal judge's conclusion that the law amounted to unconstitutional discrimination. It was based on negative stereotypes depicting women's boobies, but not men's boobies, as sex objects. Me calling them boobies probably doesn't help. But with all kidding aside, so there's this story, and this just came out September 19th. And now we got this story, which just came out today, October 1st. Let me pause on this site. Newsweek. There you go. Oklahoma women are organizing a topless scooter ride to celebrate federal court ruling. The law has to be equal. So we got this action taking place in Oklahoma. Women are planning a topless scooter ride in downtown Oklahoma City to celebrate a Colorado federal court ruling that lifted a ban on being topless in public. The event will be held this Saturday, according to News 9 Oklahoma, and comes after women roller skated topless in nearby Tulsa Sunday. At least 40 men and women attended the event, the Oklahoman reported. Guys, I could probably actually make it out to there and film that if you guys would want me to. And I'm not even being funny, you know what I mean? Like if there's anybody wants footage, okay, I'm kind of kidding. I don't know if I'd, I don't know what the purpose would be. I guess it'd be, it'd be like going to an insane clown posse event or something, I guess. There's going to be a lot of characters out there. It's going to be a bit of a carnival, a bit of a show. I don't know. But I really could. I've done a few of those man on the street videos in the past. It's been a long time. I went out there during the Black Mass in Oklahoma City. They had the Satanic Temple at the Black Mass in Oklahoma City. Remember that? Got a video on the channel where I'm out there talking to people on the streets. So now we got this here in Oklahoma. I got what's right here, 10th Circuit's ruling saying Fort Collins ordinance blocking female toplessness in public was unconstitutional, could allow women to go topless in 6 states under its jurisdiction, including Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, and New Mexico. So anyway, we see this trend, but again, this is just the way I view stuff, but more kind of through the spiritual type eyes. And we see how dark things are getting really around the world. In every area, right? We've seen this in all the areas. We see a lot of dark manifesting out there. So, but it's just another example of just a loss of modesty. People are just losing their modesty. We see more and more. I think it was on this one, right? Didn't we earlier have the story about? They're basically creating, or was that the urinal story? They're basically putting us all together. Maybe it was that one. I know I've seen that, though, in a few places. There's a few places that are combining the bathrooms, just making them just like one bathroom for everybody, male and female, whatever. So to me, again, just kind of another loss of modesty and kind of a meshing us together kind of a thing. And it's just all, as they're meshing us together for their new world order system they want. The same reason they're breaking down the barriers, so to speak. And flooding, like how they flooded Germany, how they're trying to flood America. I'm rambling again, I know. So here is a list of the YouTube demonetization words. This is pretty crazy. I guess I should have put the video up there. There's a video by a YouTube channel called Nerd City, and it went pretty viral. But they did a lot of interesting research. They're talking about how whack the algorithm system is on YouTube and showed a lot of examples of it. But anyway, some of the information they shared has to do with people who've been doing the research on this and finding what numbers you're not supposed to use. What are the naughty numbers and phrases and words. So anyway, I'm just going to click right here. And you can look this up. Look up YouTube demonetization words. You'll probably find it there. But these guys really did a lot of great work. I've already saved this. I've bookmarked this. But this is pretty interesting. Some of the stuff you can find that are confirmed demonetized words. These words will get you into trouble. And look at the first few numbers, of course. We know those. Look at the number 8 there. The abor. You know what? TION. One of the ones up there, of course, that's up there. Scroll down and just interesting to see some. The one I thought was most interesting that stood out to me, number 35, and that's the Antichrist. That word will get you in trouble. I've got that word on so many of my videos from the past. I mean, I've learned to use different wording, but still, it's on a lot of them. So Antichrist, they don't like that. You cannot talk about the Antichrist and be monetized. It's interesting. What else we got here? I mean, a lot of it's kind of obvious. A lot of it's kind of naughty-ish type words. But I'll try to pass those. I'm wondering Freemason, if that's on there. No, it's not. Okay. Anyway, you can go check it out sometime. I probably shouldn't be looking at all those things right now anyway on my show, but I think we got away with it. And now I'm going to go ahead and jump over here to the chat and see how you guys are doing. Let's kind of hang out and chat with you for a second. Let me see what I got here. Let's pop that up there. There we go. That's better. Check out the comments. Hey guys, thanks again for being here. Once again, man, much appreciate you. Wow, we did a 3-hour long show. That's pretty crazy. Hey Tamara, Dorothy, how you doing? Hey guys. Wow, it's a long show. I haven't done a 3-hour show in quite a while. Thanks again for being here, though, you guys. Much appreciated. Hope you liked it. Hope you liked some of the information. Hi, Jenny, Mimi, Jody. And yeah, guys, just thanks again. I guess let me see. I got a few things I want to cover here. Thanks to the moderators, as always. You guys are amazing. Always do a really good job. Thanks again to the crew out there. Hey, guys, all joking aside type stuff, I left a message on my Patreon this morning. It's because, you know, I learned earlier today that, and look, let me explain why I'm telling you this in the first place, but I learned earlier today that I basically lost about a third of my Patreon support, is what it comes up to, over this past month. And I asked my Patreon people, what do you guys think? What could this be? What am I doing wrong or whatever? And they all gave me good feedback, and it's kind of what I thought might be it, but I'm pretty sure it's because I have sponsorship and I'm putting ads on videos now. And all I can say is, for those of you who did sponsor or, you know, support me for a while, and if that's the reason you turned, it's your money and it's your thing, and that's fine, guys. And I thank you for supporting me in the first place. It's huge that you guys do it anyway, you know, no matter when you decide to stop. But, you know, I get it. You know, that's it. I can't be upset. Just thank you so much for even supporting for as long as y'all did. You know, I hope you'll still share the videos and stuff, people, though. If you get mad at me over stuff like this and ads, I had a lot of people leaving really angry messages about the ads. I've turned down the game ad. You know, I only had to do one. I saw the horrible feedback. Again, I see it just like a Lord of the Rings thing. I play crazy video games. Again, I'm a bit of a geek, you know, into some of this nerdy stuff, but that's me, man. But I get it. And you know what? You know, I'm in a contract with these people. They're really cool. They let me turn down what I want to. And so far, you know, I don't mind what they've been sponsoring me with. And, you know, if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but my videos are going to have ads. But I'm setting it up where I do the ad in the very beginning, a short little break, then I'll have my intro and my video plays. So you can easily just zip past the ads and just watch the video, man, if you want to. If you want to support the sponsor, that's really cool too. Guys, I never wanted to be a pitch man. Y'all who've been with me for a long time know I did this for years just through YouTube, and that's it. Never asked y'all for anything. In fact, I've given you guys money. I've done a couple shows where I gave $500 back to the people. You know, I mean, so I don't do super chats. I don't sell merchandise. I don't even offer the video subscription to the channel and stuff like that or whatever. I mean, I've tried, you know, for so long, you know. And now with YouTube suppressing this channel so hardcore the way they are, hiding it and everything else, it's like for me to continue, you know, I've got to look at my options. And sometimes we have to grow and evolve, you know, and change. So my content hasn't changed. I think it's even getting better. Again, not to toot my own horn, but honk, honk. And that's just me. And I feel a little safer. And also for the Patreon and PayPal people, God bless y'all, man. Thanks. If you're still hanging in there with me, thanks, man. Y'all, it means so much. You know, just thank you. It all pulls together, and I'm still able to keep focusing on what I do and doing it. And I got a passion for it, and I love it. And I appreciate y'all. You're a great audience. On that note, again, guys, I'm not a preacher or pastor or priest, but I like to pray at the end of these shows. So I'll just say, Heavenly Father, Father, thank you so much once again for just having a platform here and having a place where we can all meet. And just thank you for that. Lord, I've been talking to you a lot this past week anyway. You know what's on my heart. Just, Father, please keep guiding me. I always want to make sure that I'm doing good stuff here and not misleading anybody, not being shady or anything like that. I took a lot of heat, Lord. You know this recently over things here online, and I know that's my world. but it hurts. I take it all personally. Father, thanks for the strength. Keep guiding me. Help me make it through, and same for the others out there, for everyone else out there who's pushing along in this life, who's seeing, what we're seeing, who understands what time it is. Give us all strength, Father, please. Just guide us all. Please give us all strength. Don't let us separate ourselves by, focusing on our sins all the time. I know I'm guilty of this. And that's how we get separated from you, Father. Just keep us strong, focused, still loving you, still focused on you, and at peace. And I'm rambling, Lord, even in my prayers. So on that note, I love you. And in Jesus' name, I pray, amen. All right, guys. Hey, thanks again so much. Y'all are awesome. I got a brand new video coming out. Should be tomorrow, if not the next day. Got some broadcasts to do. Always working on stuff. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later.